Hello, and welcome to the Least Haunted Podcast, a place where science, skepticism, humor, and anthropology meet to discuss all things spooky, haunting, supernatural, and sometimes just the plain ridiculous. I'm your host, Cody Franks, and joining me, as almost always, is the pliant painter and ponderer of plentiful ponderosa pines, precariously perched and precipitously peering, perchance, possibly, placed purposely?
I've painted some ponderosa pines. Yeah, that's accurate. I'm Garth. Hello. Hello. This is Garth. And joining me, as for the second time, I believe, we have Tessa and Nicole, the Doom Generation. Welcome. Welcome. Good to have you here.
We were going to do the Patreon.
Did our Mrs. Doubtfire.
But we're going to do it now that we've got you there.
We'll
that we have you here, we're going to talk about ourselves for 30 seconds. So we're trying to do a Patreon plug at the beginning of episodes. So for all of you who aren't aware, we have a Patreon and we have a couple tiers. We got the Monster Squadron. And, you can get all kinds of goodies on it. You'll get your name in a Garth's Corner song if you're on the Monster Squadron. And you can join our Discord, and we'll give some swag, all kinds of good stuff. So join if you like.
Yeah, and one benefit coming up soon is we're going to team up again with our guest this week to do a live riffing of the movie that we're going to discuss in this episode. So if you haven't seen it and you hear us talk about it and you say, hey, that didn't sound bad enough, I want to see it for myself, then you can come join and listen to us talk shit about it again, like we're going to do now, coming up.
So the topic of this episode is My Pet Monster, the movie.
Yes.
I keep wanting to say My Favorite Monster, and I don't know why. Was that ever a thing?
Well, hold on. We got to say, you guys are free to join back in
Yeah,
now.
sorry.
Garth just kind of plowed over that.
Be quiet. So welcome again. So joining us are Tessa and Nicole of the Doom Generation. Hello.
We're back.
Yeah, we're back. Hi, hello.
Yeah, well, before we, hopefully our listeners are aware, we've been playing your ad on our show for months. So, but if they're not aware, who are you? What do you do?
I know, I'll be listening to your show. I was telling her earlier. I'm like, I'll be listening to their dulcet tones, and all of a sudden it's all
like
us out of nowhere, and I'm like,
it's jarring.
What's happening?
It's jarring.
Why is that my voice? No.
Why is it me?
We talk about old movies.
Yeah, oldish, older.
Sometimes really old, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
Sometimes newer. We just...
I heard you name drop the red shoes on on your 100th episode. And yes. I was like, holy shit, somebody else knows about this really obscure British psychological suspense thriller romance.
That movie. I love that movie.
Yeah, it was a favorite of my sister's and my grandma. My grandma was a professional ballerina in the 50s, and so she loved that movie.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So, yeah, you do really old movies.
You have to see it.
Yeah, we do old movies, old shows, less frequently, but we're trying to do more. But watching a TV series takes a while. So
yeah.
It's a
movies
commitment.
are easier.
We try to do it like once a quarter.
And it's just chicanery and chaos and nonsense.
Whatever
and
comes up,
hardly
when we're
any
talking about
research.
it, we try to stay on point. But, if you've ever heard us.
Sometimes we go off the rails, but...
Well, every time.
What I like about your show is that it is very conversational, but also has a trajectory with a nice balance. Some people will lean one way or the other with the podcast, and you guys go right down the middle of keeping a thread along, but also improvising, and it's very nice. Yeah, I love your show.
Thank you. Thanks.
We try. We don't want to try too hard because that comes across, I think.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
And so I think that's what's enjoyable about our show is that's what we hear a lot is that it just feels like hanging out with your friends talking about a movie you've seen 100 times.
Right.
So.
Totally.
And that's why we started doing it. So
yep.
Yeah.
So we're doing it
It's
anyway.
fun for us. It's just
fun
what we're
for
doing
us.
anyway, but now we're recording it.
Yep.
Well, so the movie I picked for us to talk about today comes from, it's kind of the last time you were here, we talked about the Quest, a.k.a. Frog Dreaming, a.k.a. The Go Kids, a.k.a. something else, depending where you were.
It had a lot.
Yeah, that movie came out in 1986, which just happens to be the year I was born. This movie I picked before I knew when it came out, and it turns out it's another 1986 movie.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
A watershed year of cinema.
And it's a movie another one that I knew because I grew up with it. We had this on a Betamax cassette. And I was in a household that had a dusty old Betamax that we would dig out and watch old movies on. And so I watched this many, many times as a kid, which might explain some of my eccentricities and problems to this day. But also why I, as a young kid, was really into the idea of monsters and wanting to find a monster. We're talking about My Pet Monster.
Yes.
And I had never seen this.
I don't think so.
I thought it was animated for some reason because there was a cartoon, right? There was also a My Pet Monster cartoon. And in my head, I was thinking, and then when it started and it had an animated opening, I was like, all right, it's animated. And I was telling her, because you guys both said there's commercials on this version. There's old commercials.
Yeah.
But when I started mine, it started right with the animated thing. And then when the movie started, I thought that was the beginning of a commercial.
Oh, no.
And I was like,
that's
what
really
is it?
going to mess it up.
I was like, is this an Eggo commercial?
Yeah,
Because when they
what
both
is
looked in the
this?
toaster, when the dad and the kid both like leaned down and
Yeah.
look at I was like,
It looks like
is
an
an Eggo
Eggo
gonna pop
commercial,
out? What's
yeah.
happening? And so I had to go back and find the one with commercials.
As a kid, I remember seeing The Lion King in theaters, and it starts off with Nasafenya. There's the whole thing, and then I was like, "Oh, this is a cool movie," but there's no dialogue. It's kind of like a trailer, and then it ends with "Boom, The Lion King," and I was like, "Oh, did I just see a trailer for The Lion King?"
That was the trailer.
No, it wasn't. It was the beginning of The Lion
Oh.
King.
That's just how it
Oh,
starts.
yeah,
This is
that's
funny
how it
because
starts.
The first 4 minutes of The Lion
In
King,
this
I
one,
thought was a
though-
trailer for The Lion King.
But it was released as a trailer. Like, that whole sequence was a trailer.
Maybe that's why I thought that.
Yeah.
Well,
originally,
yeah, that part was a trailer, but there on this version that I saw, there was
Yeah.
a Mad Balls
Yep.
commercial.
Two Mad Balls commercials.
Yep.
Right, two of them. And then also there was the trailer for this movie right before the movie
Yeah.
started.
And it spoils the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have caught that it spoiled the movie, but I was watching it with Cody, and as soon as it spoiled the movie, he yelled, "It spoiled the movie!"
It
Then it
spoiled the
spoiled it for me.
movie.
Otherwise, I wasn't paying attention.
I know.
Well, I was hoping you'd forget.
Yeah, that often happens, but this time, no. I never forget spoilers. That's the one thing I remember.
I was texting her when I was watching it, and there was that Haley Mills commercial,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
was like, I never knew she was so small.
So
Because it's like
small.
where they
She's
make
a-
her storybook size for her storybook
Right.
commercial.
She's
I thought-
so small. I was like, Haley Mills. She's like, huh?
I know. I didn't
Go
know
on
what she
these
was talking about.
commercials.
Right? I said, hey, I was like, is that Haley Mills? Because she's tiny. And then she's, I'm Haley Mills. And I'm like, Haley
Yeah.
Mills, we love you, but you're no Shelley Duvall's fairy tale theater, you know?
Yeah, I don't remember ever hearing Haley Mills storybook stories.
Like some of that animation looked familiar.
Yeah, and was that Paul Lynde as a dragon in that commercial too? Like at the end,
I
Probably.
it
didn't notice.
yeah,
Likely. I don't know. That
sound like
seems
Roger the
something to do.
Alien.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Probably.
But none of this is My Pet Monster.
No, no. This
well,
is
well,
just
okay.
the commercials leading up
So
to.
before
Yeah.
we get into the movie, though, we're gonna back up just a little bit to talk about what is My Pet Monster.
All right, so then
Because-
we're laying the groundwork. Then we'll
Yeah.
do a dissection of this.
Yes,
of this,
exactly. Yeah,
Right,
because there has to be
right.
like, yeah, people think we're just a bunch of lunatics talking about crazy Haley Mills and shit right now. But
Right.
so, My Pet Monster. Well, first of all, do you guys know about American Greetings? Do you know American
Yes.
Greetings? Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
Care Bears and Strawberry
Yeah, so,
Shortcake and
The world's second largest producer of greeting cards after Hallmark. They were founded in Cleveland, Ohio in 1906 as Sapirstein Greeting Card Company by Polish immigrant Jacob Sapirstein, although they originally just sold custom cabinets in which to display greeting cards. And he did this in a horse-drawn wagon. He just went around like Cleveland into like
with
drugstores.
custom cabinets in a wagon.
Yeah.
Showing off cabinets for displaying
Custom
other
cabinets,
things.
wet covered wagon.
Right? I'm
Anyway.
sure
To
all the glass was
display your
broken in those
greeting
cabinets.
cards?
by
Yeah,
the
and so,
time
then,
you got in
so then he
there.
gets to a point where he's like, why should I like be just selling the cabinets? I could be filling these cabinets with greeting cards of my own. So he starts making greeting cards. Yeah.
Naturally.
I didn't even.
Naturally.
I've never heard of a cabinet to display your greeting cards.
Yeah, and then
Well, maybe they were a bigger deal.
well, no, well,
I
think
think
about
they
like
were-
I
they
think
were
it's
a
like
bigger deal.
in display cases. Like you go to the drugstore and there's the aisle and it has those special cabinets that hold all the greeting cards.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I'm
like
thinking
that.
in your house to
Oh,
display
no.
the cards
No,
that
no.
you've
That's
what I thought you
received,
meant
and I was
too.
like,
Sorry.
Oh,
mom
that's
put
what
stuff
I
on the
thought
wall.
too. I was like,
No.
That
This
makes
is
so
more
it was
sense.
like those
Okay.
Sales.
things in the back of
Gotcha.
a wagon.
Yeah,
Okay.
specialized cabinets to hold greeting cards for sale in chemists.
That's
in
not
drugstores.
as weird as what I was thinking.
Makes much more sense.
It's still
I was way off.
I'm just imagining him. I know we're really digressing here. I was just imagining him going, like, showing off this cabinet that he had built, full of fake greeting cards that are all just like placeholders. And eventually, he's like, "I could be making my own greeting cards," and people just start buying those and not the cabinets. He's like, "All right, well, I'm going to go this direction now." Okay.
Well, that's why I thought, like, wow, what a move.
His,
that's way easier
his
than
first-
handcrafting these cabinets.
So that was in 1906 when we started. In 1918, he got his first business partner, which was his 9-year-old son.
Oh.
As you do.
Yeah.
Join the fun.
Yeah.
You know.
1918, sure.
But then by
Family
1938,
biz.
in 1938, they changed the name of the company to American Greetings Publishers. And so that's the name that they're known under today. In 1967, they introduced the character Holly Hobby. Do you guys know about Holly Hobby?
Yep.
We always had
Oh,
Holly
yeah.
Hobby. Yep.
Holly
Yep.
Hobby.
Had a Holly Hobby lunch pail. I think
Yep.
we had like collectible plate or something that hung
Like a
on the
little
wall. That was
journal or diary.
yes.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
so
like all kinds of.
How would you describe Holly Hobby? Like, what does she
Like
look?
she's like a little patchwork girl.
It's like Little House on the Prairie
Yeah.
as an adorable, almost Precious Moments
almost
cartoon,
that, but
Yeah.
but
like
not quite.
profile with the bonnet.
Giant bonnet, right? Yeah. Yeah. As I was doing this research, and reading about that, I was like, thinking back to my like grandma's house when I was a kid, like all these like, you know, flashes in my head. It's like the end of The Usual Suspects where I'm seeing this Holly Hobby everywhere in her house.
It's all.
Yeah, like, oh my
It
god.
all falls into place.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
I
my
know her.
My mom, that was one of the things where like our moms had Holly Hobby
Yeah.
stuff probably, and so when we were real little,
Yeah.
that was the stuff they bought
That
for us
they
because
had,
that was
yeah.
their childhood stuff, the way we did for our kids.
And
Yeah.
then, by
Precisely.
1977, Holly Hobby was the most licensed female character in the world.
Wow.
Which
That
is
makes sense.
huge. They also introduced Ziggy, Ziggy Comics.
That was
Yeah.
my mom's favorite.
Yep.
She loved fucking Ziggy.
Everybody loves Ziggy.
And then in 1981, American Greetings formed a new company, a subsidiary called Those Characters from Cleveland. It was like a think tank that was just supposed to create new characters with which they could then license. And then this company would also handle the licensing, merchandising, and distribution of these like new characters. And then this also branches out into toys and stuff. And the first character they introduce to launch those characters from Cleveland is Strawberry Shortcake.
Woo! Our favorite.
This is the first
Yeah.
thing I've heard of
Love
that
us
you
some.
mentioned, except for Ziggy. Strawberry shortcake. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm on
that
board.
one you know?
that, yeah.
Oh,
that was
okay.
big.
No, I know.
Not the food.
Not the food.
Which-
the dolls.
I realized that Strawberry Shortcake is she's just a fruit confection themed Holly Hobby.
Kind
Yeah.
of. Yeah.
Right?
But
Same
with
bonnet.
friends, with different fruity
Big
friends.
hat.
Yeah.
The little
the big
socks.
hat and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I still somewhere have my toys. At least some of them. They're probably all naked because my kid had them. But I still have some of my Strawberry Shortcake toys
Yeah.
for sure.
Next came the Care Bears.
Oh yeah.
Yep, I
Got
have
them
all
too.
mine still.
And there's a Care Bears connection in this movie.
Yes, there is.
Oh yeah,
More than
there
one.
is,
There's a
that's
few.
right.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
We only know one.
Yeah.
In 1985, to capitalize on the gross out success of the Garbage Pail Kids, which are also themselves a parody of the Cabbage Patch Doll craze, those characters from Cleveland created the Mad Balls.
Yes.
Who were grotesque sentient balls that sometimes had arms and legs, but most of the time they were just balls.
They were always.
They were
rocking.
just gross.
Balls.
Yeah, they were always rocking.
Balls.
Saving the world from bad jokes.
Is that what they were
Apparently.
doing?
Yeah,
I
that's
did
what
not
they were
even pay
doing. They
attention.
were
That
saving the
was
world.
it. That was-
I watched the whole
Wow.
thing.
Did you
like,
see the
after
bonus
the
commercial at
credits,
the end?
The post credits, yeah.
Were those ball Nazis? I think those were ball
I,
Nazis.
I think they might have been ball nuts. Well, they were the ones telling the bad jokes.
Maybe.
That's what they were saving the world from. Like the Mad Balls had
The
to
biggest
come.
crime of the Nazis is their bad
As
I thought
everybody
it was the
knows.
ball.
According to history, as everybody knows, the
Yes.
worst thing that they did was the bad jokes.
Ah, yes. Ah, yes.
And that's why the Mad Balls had to come down from space or wherever it is they
wherever.
fucking came from,
Yeah.
and save everybody, the world, from bad jokes.
They're back, they're bad, and they're yuckier than ever in Gross Jokes, a spaced out joke book journey.
Yeah, but most people encounter the Mad Balls as foam sports balls like baseballs and footballs and stuff that had like grotesque faces and themes.
And they came in like little
I'm
box
sure I had one.
crates.
Yeah.
Or no, are you thinking of Boglins?
Oh, the
Remember
Boglins.
Boglins?
Or did those
'Cause
also
came in a
come in
crate.
box crates?
Yeah.
Maybe both.
I think things
Maybe
came
both.
in crates.
It was
You
all
know,
just
yeah,
a thing.
it was all
crates a
downhill
lot
from
in the
Pet Rock.
80s.
Once Pet Rock came in a cage, everything. Yeah.
Everything came in a crate.
Yep.
In 1986, they introduced Popples.
Yep.
Okay.
And we were talking about Popples before we were recording, but yes, Popples. They're the cuddly versions of the monsters from Critters. They roll into little balls, and they're friendly. I guess they're just foldable Care Bears, kind of. Is that their deal? What do they do?
Kinda.
It's
You
like
just put 'em in.
it's not. It's its
They're
own
like
thing.
a
It's
cross
not a.
between a Care Bear and a Sprite from Rainbow Bright.
Yeah, and then but then it's kind of a kangaroo that folds itself into its own pouch. Like,
Yeah.
is it just like
It disappears.
It's an
It
Ouroboros
was kind of
kangaroo.
hard to tuck those things in.
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember it being difficult.
And then in 1986, they created a new character to capitalize on the massive success of the My Buddy doll, and which was released by Hasbro the year before. And they decided they wanted to get in on this plush doll craze with a twist, which was, what if it was a plush doll that was specifically targeted to boys? Because boys are an untapped,
Toy
Yeah,
market.
toy resource.
yeah, I guess. But they decided to make it like more friendly, more boy friendly.
Yeah, how are they going to market it to little boys in the 80s?
Well, they've already dabbled with gross out humor with the Mad Balls. They're like, well, let's make it like something kind of gross, and and they're like in monsters. Boys like monsters, so then thus is born My Pet Monster. And we were talking about what's this monster look like? He's got blue fur and orange hair on the top of his head, big green warty nose, looks like a giant plastic pickle. Oh, because his teeth, his eyes, and his nose are made out of plastic, like hard
Yeah.
plastic.
Yeah. There's
And his shackles.
And he's
those
he came with-
orange manacles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those didn't show up till the very, very end. I was waiting for those to be like a
Oh
thing.
yeah.
How
they
is this
made
going to
sure
be a plot
include it.
point?
They saved it.
Yeah. They found a way.
Well, they had to.
It came with these bright orange, shackles that were made out of plastic, but they also were Velcro, and so you could put them on yourself, and they would connect.
right.
They could connect
That's
to the
right.
middle, and then you could rip them apart. Yeah. And then they branched out into like a whole bunch of merchandising, or they had merchandising planned. But here's the problem, which is they have this product. How do they let everybody know about this awesome toy that they need to buy? And the answer is, we make a TV show. Or actually, we make a 45-minute pilot for a live-action TV show that will establish the lore and canon of the My Pet Monster universe.
Right.
So that's what this was supposed to be?
That's what this was supposed to be. This was supposed to be the pilot for a TV series.
It was going to be a whole
Oh,
thing.
because I thought that I texted her at the end when I was done watching it.
Is
I
there
was
a
like,
part
the
two?
fucking audacity. The
Leave a
audacity
cliffhanger.
to suggest that they're going to do this again.
Nobody wants to see this. Do not do this again.
the
Don't you
story
dare.
didn't end.
Yeah, I know. Like, that's not it. They don't wrap it up.
And nobody wants to see that character
I
in a
know.
sequel.
I know.
I hated that guy.
Okay, well, we're going to get to the plot. We're going to go
I
through
know,
a rundown.
I know.
But first, we'll say who was in the movie. It starred Sonny Besson Thrasher as Max. He's a voice actor, mostly known for the Care Bears movie.
Jason.
Yep. Jason. Yeah. And then Allison Court is his sister Melanie. She's a well-known actress in both TV and video games. She was Lydia in the Beetlejuice cartoon.
Oh, wow.
She was Jubilee in the 90s X-Men. And
I
she wears a
love
yellow
that
coat
show.
at one point in this movie. It's like, oh, it's the Jubilee
Oh,
jacket.
cute.
And do you guys remember the big comfy couch?
Yeah.
Yep.
She was the clown girl on the big comfy couch.
Oh, is
That was her?
Oh, okay.
Hilarious.
Okay.
Then there's their yuppie older brother, Rod, played by
Rod.
Yannick Beeson.
Rod.
Yeah. I guess he's
That would be his name.
I know.
I guess he's like been on he's the star of the titular character in a very long running Canadian British like detective story. Like series, it's like a Sherlock Holmes, so it takes place in the 1890s, but he uses like forensics in the 1890s.
Oh,
It's called
okay.
The Murdoch Mysteries, and he stars in it.
I've heard of that.
Interesting.
Never seen it, but I've heard that title.
And then we got Colin Fox as Dr. Snyder. He's our like primary antagonist in this. He looks like Mr. Hand from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but he is not Mr. Hand.
A little bit. He was giving me a cross between that and Freddy Krueger.
He's just
London?
museum man in my notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember his name.
But he
I
was
just
in
called him
Tommy
Mean
Boy.
Museum.
Oh,
He
really?
was in Tommy Boy?
He's in Tommy Boy. I think he works in the factory in Tommy Boy.
Oh. Robert England, not London.
Yeah, Robert
You said-
England. You're right. Yeah.
I was like, yeah. I'm like,
No,
wait a
no.
minute. That's sure. Right.
And then everyone else who's in here just seems to be they're like Canadian character actors who have been in shit tons of stuff. You look at their IMDb thing and it's just page after page. We got the girlfriend Stephanie. She's played by the Kelly Rowan. I guess later she was a main character in the OC.
Yeah.
In early 2000s.
She was in other stuff too, I feel like. She'd been in a bunch of other, I don't know, teen dramas, I feel like.
And then the awful. Okay, it's awful, but it's also pretty good for bad. Monster costume in this was designed by Lenny Wilkins, who did all the costume designs for the Sharon, Lois, and Bram's Elephant Show. Do you know that?
Oh, wow.
Oh, Skinnamarink dinky
Yeah,
dinky.
exactly.
Skinnamarink-a-dinky-dink.
I love you. Yes.
All I could think was they had access to the plush My Pet Monster. Just make it bigger
Yeah.
and put this fucking kid in it.
Yeah,
Why
you
is
have the material.
awful costume?
I mean, they were messing around with things.
He
they
looked
had
like he was
access
made
to
of
some
cotton
stuff.
candy.
A little bit, like you could take a piece off and just eat it.
But his eyes moved, at least, and his mouth
Yeah, they did.
sometimes moved.
Yeah, the mouth was moving kind of.
I said it also. My son was in the room and I was like, "What's the Chuck E. Cheese guy with the eyebrows?" And he was like, "Mr. Munch."
Mr. Munch.
I go, it's like Mr.
His eyebrows are just
Mr.
flailing all
Munch's
over the
son.
place.
Yeah, they were like flailing throughout the whole thing, like Chet.
And my son informed me that Mr. Munch has a son canonically.
Oh,
There's
really?
already that there's already like a Munch Jr. or something. And I was like, oh,
Munch Jr. Please, let it be Munch
Mother.
Jr.
this always exists. This already exists.
Mr. Munch was my father. Call me Snack.
Yes. Just a little snack.
He's just a little snack.
And then the movie was produced by Nelvana, who most famously did like a lot of cartoon shows from our childhood. You know, the first season of Inspector Gadget.
Yep.
The Beetlejuice cartoon we mentioned earlier. The list just goes. I mean, there's too many for me to even think of. I was just reading the list. Before.
Yeah.
Chipmunks, wasn't it? Or at least
I
the
feel like Chipmunks might have been
movie?
Nelvana.
Disney, Disney kind of like outsourced to them for a few things. Like they did a season of Gargoyles. They did.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah, a whole bunch of things. So yeah, and they're based out of Toronto, so Canadian.
Yeah.
And it's very obvious this movie is very Canadian.
Well,
The accent
little
pops
sunny
through all the time.
Yes. Yes.
So with all that out of the way, now I guess we'll talk about My Pet Monster proper.
Yes. We'll get into the actual.
The meat.
Yes, the green jello of the
I think
story.
it's blue milk actually that starts at the very beginning of this movie.
I thought it was Baja Blast Freeze.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what she
I was
thought.
like,
I
they
thought
got
it
Baja
was.
Blast in 1986.
I thought it was Geck.
Oh, could have been
It
Gak.
did not look
You know,
delicious.
It did
No.
look. Although she looks like the mom from You Can't Do That on Television.
Yeah, she did.
It's
Kind of,
not.
I was trying to. I thought that's who it was. 'cause
Instead,
it
it's
was the slime connection.
Instead, it's Birthday Bear from the Care Bears.
Oh, wow.
See, I told you there was
Oh,
another
weird
connection
Care
to Care
Bears
Bears. That's 2 or
Okay.
3. Yeah.
See, I
so
didn't
far.
know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so mom's making some blue milk for her kids. She's talking about what's in it. This was 2 dozen eggs, spinach, I think it's Romano cheese, and,
I didn't even
then
hear the
but then she
ingredients.
describes it as a prune shake. So there's prunes in there
Yeah.
too. And her husband is like, nah, I'm not drinking that shit. But then Rod, their son Rod, who's
He
a
just
complete
chugs
tool,
it down.
Yeah,
and he
he
likes
loves
it.
it.
He secretly
Yeah.
likes it.
He's
Because even
into
the
it.
mom doesn't like it. She tries it at the end.
And like,
Yeah.
it's all, "Bleh." No.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they say that
Yeah, but he loves it.
she says that her readers will like it. So I think that had the show actually been a full show, they would have established that she writes some kind of column for a paper.
Right.
And then
She's
he
a
said,
health food
and the-
writer.
Yeah, the dad said he had to go to a city council or city planning meeting, so he works in the city government.
So he's Okay.
They were establishing all these things they could do with the show. Never came to
Look,
pass.
I grew up on this movie, and I watched it.
I was going to say
4 times this week.
So we never saw it before this. We prepared for this, but Cody watched this all the time as a child.
Oh my god.
So you have a
Yeah, no,
huge
monster
nostalgic.
expert.
That's the other angle we haven't quite addressed yet. Is Cody's super nostalgic viewing of this?
I mean, it's not
Oh,
good.
man.
Nostalgia rarely is good. It's
Well, that's true. Like, cause I don't have that feeling for it. Like that.
No.
And I understand that when somebody does have that feeling for it, and like you have to like discuss something.
You think of all the
that's
things
like,
that you like that other people are like, what? And be like, all right, we'll give him some space to like this awful thing.
No,
Yeah,
even,
like
even
I
as
mean,
a
it's
kid,
cool.
even as a kid, I picked up that it wasn't good.
Oh, okay.
But it's like it's associated with this whole memory of like we had this Betamax machine that had a bunch of like crazy things that like my great grandma lived in Vegas and had cable, and so she would tape things on a Betamax off of like HBO and Showtime and like send them to us. So we had like a whole bunch of Fraggle Rock, we had a whole bunch of old Disney
love Fraggle
movies
Rock.
and stuff all on Betamax. Although this one wasn't a bootleg. This, for some reason, somebody actually bought the cassette. It had like the
paid
slipcase and
straight up.
everything. But
It was probably cheap.
yeah, so when I think back on this, it probably
Can you
was.
imagine why?
No, they probably
They're
gave
all-
it. It probably
No,
came
look,
with something
animated
else.
cover, $5. Fine.
Yeah. But it's associated with this nostalgia of like digging out the Betamax machine and watching these old things, and that was one of the limited things we had to watch, so I saw it. But anyway, so we've established the shitty older brother, and then we get Sister Melanie, who is Jubilee from the X-Men. She pours out the drink and establish
yeah.
it-
Pours it into the plant.
yeah, and they're establishing like in this weird morning conversation the actual thing that this whole movie is about, which is not the monster at all, but about this stupid fucking dog named Tippy.
Yes.
Oh my god, I had no clue that was coming when I didn't even catch that like it was
Nope.
going in that direction till it happened, and I was like, why?
I almost didn't even bother to write it down because I didn't think,
I didn't
Yeah.
think it was going to be
There's no way
significant.
this is coming back. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Who cares about that?
Who cares about that? Like, Rod's just trying to sink a ditch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just trying to
He's trying to
fondle
get to
Steph in the
second
backseat
base.
of his
But that's
Jeep.
that's how you do good exposition. We didn't even
Yeah.
see it, and yet we knew about it.
right?
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
but
master
he's-
class in writing.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? This might have been the greatest movie ever filmed.
So was that? Yeah. So he's trying to get with this girl Stephanie, who is has a show dog. It's a show dog, dude. It has papers, and
Right.
he's like offered to walk the dog as a chance to get in her pants. That's what's pretty much obvious.
He's trying to walk the dog, if you know what I mean. Hey!
And then then the sister shows up. She dumps out her drink. That's how you get ants, people.
Yes, that's exactly what I was like. That's
She poured it right into a
Ants.
plant, into
right
a
in front of the
potted
mom.
plant.
The mom's
Of
watching her.
course.
Like it immediately
Right.
cuts back,
She's
and there's
like-
mom just like smiling, like yeah.
okay, whatever.
And then we get introduced to Max, who is our protagonist, I guess. And he's a loser.
Right.
Well, he's having a bad day.
A bad day.
Yeah, he's always
He's
late.
having
though,
a
so
terrible,
that way-
horrible, no good, very
He's the
bad day.
clumsiest
Right.
kid in town.
Yeah, he's
like,
overslept. He doesn't get to try mom's smoothie because his sister
Nope.
denies him his breakfast and pulls him out the door
Right.
as he's complaining about being hungry. And again, his parents watch him go out the door complaining about being starving and with a smile on their face because this is the 1980s and parents don't
Well, they're
give
gonna
a
be late.
fuck.
They're
Yeah,
gonna
you're gonna be late. You
and
better
it's
go.
museum field trip day. The bus gonna leave without you.
Exactly. You want to get there. 'cause
Gotta
you
take the
wanna-
shortcut.
Yeah, the
your
shortcut.
neck.
It's like most extreme elimination challenge or Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go through
It's,
a fence,
what is it,
over
guts?
someone's house.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Guts. Yeah. They climb a fucking power pole at one point.
I know. It was very dangerous. It was highly.
And poor Max's legs are made of jello. Like
I know,
he's
like-
like, oh, I can't. This little
I
2-foot
can't-
hill. Oh.
The bus almost leaves without him. Nice
Yes.
one to Melanie for not holding the door for him. She knew he was
I know.
behind.
You didn't say, wait, my brother's
She
coming.
wanted to go to the museum. They know what time the bus leaves.
Yeah, she
He was
really,
right behind her.
she really did want to go there because she's like the only kid taking notes while they're like getting
She
the
was
museum tour.
interested.
I know. She was like, I'm not going to miss this because of you. Come on.
Yeah. So you have the
Baby
museum
tomato?
tour. which also I'd say kudos at least that they filmed in a real museum, it seems.
I'm sure they
I mean,
did.
I guess they
Yeah.
probably would have had to have something.
Yeah, but you know, it's gives some authenticity. At least there's some real artifacts in there, unlike the monster statues we're about to see.
Oh my god.
Yes.
That was the funniest thing.
Like,
It's like all these actual displays, and then there's these
I know.
styrofoam cartoon
Right.
like
He's
sculptures.
like, and then I found these styrofoam molds.
And
over
he's so
here.
serious about it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm above this. You're gonna make me do the tour with the kids.
Yeah, this is Dr.
I'm a-
Snyder.
Yeah, I'm a scholar.
And so yeah, after sniping at the kids, then he tells them about his discovery.
It's his life's work.
He says, so he says that they come from Mesopotamia. They look like they came.
obviously.
They look more like they came from Muppet-potamia.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then he keeps, first of all, like, so my degree is anthropology with an emphasis in archaeology. So a bunch of things that he's talking about right here, we're just already like, what? No. So he refers to them as tribal statues. It's like, no, dude, Mesopotamia was like the first human civilization, like large scale empire. Like that's not a tribal thing. And then he's talking about how he deciphered these hieroglyphics, while behind him you see that there are like pictures of like birds. They're supposed to be Egyptian
Yeah,
hieroglyphics.
I couldn't tell what was behind him.
But the
It was like-
Mesopotamians
whatever.
invented writing. They invented cuneiform. It's this very specific writing that is not hieroglyphics. Anyway, they just, the small things.
But at that
They
point,
didn't
it
think
just
any
lost it. The
6-year-old would
movie was
notice.
lost to you.
He's
Right.
like, forget it.
Never
Yeah.
mind.
None of this matters.
So he tells all these kids that, these statues, he dug them up, and that they have the ability to turn whoever stands in front of them into monsters.
Yeah, ooh,
And
because
nobody believes him. They all laugh at him.
Laugh at you if you want, but yes,
Yeah.
so forth.
like how many
they
people
froze.
a day stand in front
Right?
of these statues?
Yeah,
Yeah.
every day.
at the museum. Like how many people
Max
come
is
through
the
the
only
museum?
one who was ever hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think he was
Oh, how
hungry.
foolish of me! I should have realized.
He was both hungry, and also there was a cloud that like parted because a sunbeam came
Yeah,
down.
like
Yeah.
they had
So
a
you have to be
skylight
hungry,
that was
and the statue has to have sunlight on it. That is the combination
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
never happened
It should
before.
have at least been like an eclipse or something, you know?
right. They didn't even bother giving you like a.
It just bam, just happened.
yeah.
it's,
No,
it's 3 p.m.
yeah, right. Yeah, no one. You have to stand there every day at 3 p.m. I don't know why no one's noticed. It's
Right.
clockwork.
There's all these
1:45.
There's all
exactly.
these like children monsters running
Yeah.
around the museum crying.
That's true.
We're
This
like,
could be
"What's
one of
happening?"
only many stories. We're just seeing
Yeah.
Max's story. This happens all
Right.
the time.
There was other statues. Who knows?
Yeah. No one's around to see this except his sister does. As he gets zapped, and it looks like he's going through the quickening from Highlander.
Yeah.
And and then he's the monster. He's a monster now. He's
Cotton candy monster.
cotton
Yes.
candy, bug-eyed, big-nosed cotton candy monster. And so of course she doesn't freak out because she saw it happen.
No.
And they
Well,
think,
yeah, because
Yeah.
this is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is fine.
sometimes.
The logical
Cool,
the
cool,
logical
cool,
thing
cool.
is let's go to an adult. Let's go talk to that crazy guy that was screaming about monsters.
Right. He
Right.
should know what's going on here. He's the one that told us.
And he sure did. He knew
yeah.
what was going on.
Oh, he knew.
Yeah, and immediately decides that he's going to kidnap these children.
Right?
Yeah. Like, yeah, I'll figure it out.
He goes out and tells that teacher they're not coming, as if those kids weren't about to get forgotten anyway.
I know.
Right.
They were
They
not
weren't
gonna.
even like, you didn't even have to say anything.
Yeah.
They were all about to board the bus and leave. If
I
the kids weren't on
definitely
it-
got left behind.
The
For
bus,
sure.
the bus
as a
almost
little
left
kid
without
in
them
the
the
80s
first
on the
time.
bus.
Oh yeah, but not as like not at a field trip.
But yeah, they're not feeling well. Like, who are you? You are just being mean to all of these
Without
children. I'm going to listen to
seeing
you.
Yeah, right.
These kids.
Oh, he could have
Hey.
been super nefarious.
To
I
quote-
know this could have been like a much different movie.
Right? Real dark.
A movie I might have watched.
That's why, hey, God bless the man that invented permission slips, you know?
Yeah.
That's... Yeah, but the teacher just goes with it. So meanwhile, these kids... but Max sees all this and hears it with his, like,
Yes.
Thundercats
Right.
sight beyond sight ability.
Sword of omens, give me sight beyond sight.
Monster
Yes,
powers.
He's got monster powers.
Yeah, so he can see and hear things from very far away and then also break balsa wood tables in half.
He has powers that do anything that make the plot go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. He's
Yep.
just pushing the story along.
And now his sister's starting to get stoked. Like,
right? She's like, "Ooh, you got like monster powers.
This
Like,
come in handy."
we could do.
I'd much
something
rather
with
have a
that."
monster as a brother. Let's find a way to keep you like this all the time.
Right.
She totally
I know.
did.
Yeah.
She totally
It's like,
wanted
this
to.
is way rad. Why don't you tear that door off its hinges?
The sequels or the other episodes are all about her hiding food from him.
yeah.
She just,
Oh, we'll get to that.
starts the
That's
plot.
what would have happened
waste
if they
away.
did. If they had a whole show, she's just starving your brother the whole time.
Yeah, so
Yep.
then they're running around the museum. Dr. Snyder sees them, but nobody else sees this giant, like 4-foot
Nope.
blue thing running around. Even though he like says there's the monster out loud, and nobody turns to look.
Yeah, what monster? Your statues? Your
They
little
all
statues?
ignore this asshole.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, nobody wants
Nobody's
to talk
listening
to
to him.
Snyder. Like,
He's
it's like, oh, here
he's
he
a
comes.
miserable dick. No one likes him.
Right? Like, here comes
Sure.
this
Sure.
fucking
Yeah.
Schneider. Schneider.
Schneider.
They cause a priceless artifact to get destroyed.
Because the monster's right there. He's
hears
right
them.
there. He's bright blue. It's well lit.
Why doesn't that guy back up Snyder? He's like, no, I saw the monster too.
Right?
Yeah.
He thought he was crazy.
Yep.
They fired him on the spot.
So they hide in a teepee. Snyder corners them in the teepee with his boss, says, I'm going to show you the monster. Opens it up, and Max is a kid again. And then they just leave. And then I don't know how they get home from the museum. I guess they walk like a really long way
Yes.
from downtown to the suburbs.
Several miles.
Yeah.
Along the freeway.
So Max is just getting hungrier.
I was surprised that he didn't just stay a monster. That was one
Yeah,
twist
I was
didn't
like, what?
expect.
How did he?
I didn't think it was gonna come and go.
Is it because the adults can't see him? And
Yeah.
that's what I thought at first.
Because he
Like,
doesn't eat. Like it would make sense if
No.
he ate something and then now he's a boy again.
Yeah,
he
I'm
eat
still
an
not
artifact?
clear as to why he
Look,
becomes not a monster anymore.
They would have explained
Yeah.
it in the other episodes. We
next
never
ones.
got a chance. So
That's right.
they're walking back, talking about, he's all like worried about how do I tell our parents? What am I going to do about this? I'm going to get locked away. And she's, just getting more stoked on it. Like, no, now
right.
we're going to use you as like a superhero. You're going to
Right.
do monster shit for me.
You got monster strength. It's like it's gonna be rad.
She's already plotting.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's already forming the X-Men in her head. You
Yeah.
know, she's got a beast. Oh my God, it's Beast and Jubilee.
Oh.
He's blue. He's furry.
Yeah.
That's
He's
it.
not as learned, but he's got time.
Yeah.
prequel.
Yeah.
It
They're working
is.
on it. I don't know what that makes Rod. He's a shitty. He's a Scot. He's such a cyclops.
He's a Scot. He's such a Scot.
Yep.
Oh, you're correct.
Yep.
You're right.
Yeah.
Smells like cool water cologne.
Stephanie.
Oh, you know he does.
I guess that
Can't
is
control
Stephanie.
his
Then is
eye.
Jean Grey. Yeah, it's all there. Anyway,
Yeah. It's all there.
it's all there. In the meantime, they get home. He looks like he's finally going to get to eat. She's going to make him his favorite sandwich, peanut butter and mango.
Ugh.
Ooh.
It's not. It doesn't sound gross, but it looked real squishy
Well, I don't
when
like
that guy
peanut
took it
butter.
from him in the
I
museum.
like mango. I'll have a mango.
I was thinking of like if it was like dried mango with peanut butter, that'd be pretty good.
That might be good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh.
That'd be a soggy sandwich. I feel like.
chewy.
Anyway,
What if it
no,
was
thank you.
peanuts?
it doesn't
and
matter.
mango?
It doesn't matter. He doesn't get to eat the fucking sandwich because
Nope.
No, he doesn't even get to eat it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Rod comes home.
Rod comes home with Stephanie and Tippy.
Yeah, and he's trying to.
Trying to get
the
frisky
smooth
with this
moves.
young wasp.
Yes.
Right. Max runs upstairs, turns back into a monster. Melanie goes up there and finds him there. Meanwhile, he's trying to get it on with this, as you said, wasp, playing softcore porno music, and he starts, yes, and
He's
he
like,
opens
"You
up
hear
with
that?
a line.
You hear
He's like,
that?
how do you feel about open mouth kissing on the first date? Is that what he says to her?
Yeah,
Yep.
something like that.
I think
And
that's
then-
what he
come on.
said.
Yep, and he goes,
God.
yeah.
She has a poodle. You know how she feels. You
She's
don't have to
wearing
ask.
like slacks
Yeah,
or whatever. She's dressed as Marilyn
she's
Quayle.
a fucking young Republican.
Yeah.
That's what
Oh,
I'm saying.
totally.
She's
Yeah.
on her way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's on her way.
Well, so is he,
She
but-
did.
Chamber
You
of
think?
Commerce.
Yeah. It's like,
Republican children in the 80s going on a date. That's the scene. Yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking like Tippy. I was trying to make a Tipper Gore connection, but no, that wouldn't.
With the
make-
dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Anyway, the dog goes up, starts barking because it senses there's a monster behind the door.
And that dog is flipping the fuck out. How'd they
I
get that
know.
dog to like go nuts on that door?
Well, it's a show dog.
Who's
It's been
behind
trained.
So
Right.
it's just someone's back there with a fucking clicking at it or something.
I was expecting it to do a backflip, like really,
I wanted
circus dog.
I want to see circus dog things.
Yeah. So Rod's about to get some action, and then Tippy's a little cock blocking beast.
I have that exact. I have
Yep.
Tippy the cock blocker in
Yep.
my notes.
And he goes upstairs, and then I like that Melanie opens the door and says the most I don't know if this is a Canadian thing or what, but she says to the dog, Tippy, be reasonable.
Yeah.
To a dog.
Reasonable,
That's right.
Tippy.
Dog.
Tippy.
Then Tippy and Rod both see Max as a monster, and Tippy passes out,
faints.
seemingly dead.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It seemed like they were going to play him off as an ET stuffed animal, like, oh, this is my weird
Right.
giant stuffed animal. Then he talks.
It's
like,
my
oh,
pet monster.
he just gave
Yeah, and they
away
had to-
a possible
they
way
said
to
the name.
explain him, but okay.
No, I don't think,
Right.
even though, when Stephanie comes up to investigate, and she comes in the room, and Rod's been kind of briefed on the situation and is trying to cover, he says that's my pet monster, but I think he is trying to play it off like it is a stuffed animal.
Yeah,
I thought so too.
Oh, and
Because
so-
he was holding.
Yeah,
still.
even though it
Yeah.
it visibly moves, but Stephanie is too worried about her dog to give a shit, I think.
That's true.
Well,
Yeah, she doesn't
Tippy's
seem too
perm
bothered
is
by this.
root.
Oh, yeah, no. Tippy's hair is, you're right, yeah, like a wet mop.
That she got wilted. Like, what
She's
about fainting
wilted.
made
Fear?
her hair wilt?
Yeah.
It scared her
Okay.
so much.
So there's a lot of choices that are made in this movie. And as the most recent rewatch earlier today, my wife Allison pointed out, she's like, well, they're making a cartoon. It's like it's like everything works on cartoon logic in this. That's why nobody sees the monster, because it's inconvenient, and I guess that's why probably after they made this, they're like, hey, if we're going to just do a cartoon anyway, why don't we just make a cartoon,
Right.
Because, in cartoons, people get scared and their hair turns white or their hair goes down
Right.
and stuff,
That makes sense.
I guess if Tippy was like a long-haired dog where it was all down, it would have permed her hair when she saw
Right.
the
It would have.
monster.
Yeah,
it
that's
would've-
usually what
yeah.
happens
See?
with cats
Yeah.
anyway.
It should have been like, oh, I don't know what you did, but my dog looks perfect for the
Yeah,
dog
yeah, that
show.
would've
And
been
then
for the
that's
show.
the
It's like, oh,
end.
she's even
And then we
fluffier.
stop talking about the fucking dog show there.
Yeah.
And
I know,
just
I
deal with the
don't-
fact the kid is a monster.
So then she demands that Rod takes this dog to Raoul,
To Raul,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yes.
the dog groomer.
Only Raoul.
Yeah, and get this perm done by I think she was by 9:00 that night. Or
Yeah.
because there's
Or
a big
in the morning.
because the big dog
don't
show is the
remember.
next day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Max tries to tell his dad that he's a monster, but he turns back into a kid. The dad never sees it because he's fixing his car. Max still doesn't get to eat
Yes.
No food
because
for
now they
you,
have to go
Max.
take Tippy to the dog groomer.
To Raoul's, who is $350 for a wash and set.
Which-
In 1986.
I looked that up.
Wow.
Adjusted for inflation, that's $976.
Oh my!
Wow. Wow.
Well,
wow.
these.
As we're
these
gonna find
dog
out later,
shows, man.
the grand
How much?
the grand
that
prize
is?
for the dog show is $20,000. Adjusted for
Yeah.
inflation, that's like $56,000.
Like,
for a
do
fucking
people
dog
really
show.
win that much in a dog show?
I don't know. That's why they thought they could quit those dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I
Who we're
didn't
gonna
know a
meet?
dog show prize was worth
Right.
that much.
This is
At-
enough money to get us to Florida.
Yeah. So
Right.
Rod hears the price, says "fuck that." He's like, "I'm trying to get in with her, but it's not gonna be that
Yeah.
great, So
Yeah, it's not worth $350.
yeah. So they go to Carl's Cut and Curl, which is all spelled with
Yeah.
K's.
Oh no!
I know. I noticed
Not a
that. I was
great
like,
sign.
oh no.
KKK? That's not good.
That's why they wanted to go to Florida and open up a gator farm.
Right?
Yep,
They
yep.
They decide they're over dogs and they're so yeah, it's Carl and I forget the other guy's name, but he doesn't matter. Two stooges, and
Yes.
and they're
Dr.
talking about
Schneider's
it.
following them too already.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
He's
yeah.
popping
Snyder's
out of the
following him.
bushes.
He's following them in the Mr. Bean car.
Yes.
And so they're talking about how they don't want to do with dogs anymore, and then they're reading the paper, and Tippy's in the fucking paper as likely
Yeah.
to win the dog show.
Is this a small town?
It's gotta be.
This is like dog show capital of the world.
Maybe this is just how
must
Canada
be.
gotta
works.
be.
If we have any
Maybe.
Canadian listeners, get at us. Let us know,
Are dog shows this
Is it
big?
Dog Show Central?
Right?
And so they're just like pipe dreaming. They're like, oh yeah, if we had that kind of money, we'd go to Florida and start a gator farm.
Yeah.
Because and then lo and behold, Tippy shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, things
Right on cue.
Yeah, things kind of split though, because then Max is turning back into a monster. They finally figure out that hunger is what turns them into a monster, and they don't give the kid a poor Snickers because you're not yourself when you're hungry. And
Right.
runs in the alleyway, transforms. Snyder catches up. Snyder has not gotten a camera.
No, he only does voice
That's the
recordings.
And he's
weirdest
just
thing about
telling
this.
on
So-
voice, like
Pixar, it didn't happen,
Right.
dude.
Exactly.
Like when he first found the kid was a monster in his office, he starts a audio recording, like a tape, to
Yeah.
describes what he sees in the tape, and he's doing it
And
again
he
in
sounds
the alley.
like a kid.
And then I
Yeah.
think later on he says, "I'm going to take you back to my place where I have a camera." It's like, dude. I mean, I know it's the '80s, but
Bring
like,
it.
don't you have something?
Yeah.
It makes it sound worse that way.
Yeah.
So there's a brief little chase scene. Snyder falls into a dump truck full of water, I guess, or dirty water.
yeah,
Or something.
Yeah.
that was weird.
He
don't
also
know.
falls through a portal at one point because he like is trying to get in through a window, and we just watched them
Oh,
go through the same
yeah.
window, so you see what's outside, right? And then like they go through. He tries to go through and falls backwards, and then it immediately cuts to him coming out of a door.
Yeah, they cut something.
Weird.
Did he fall into that room? Like,
They
Yes.
cut something out.
yeah. Oh, then and then in all the brouhaha, Max gets mistaken for a dog and ends up inside
Right.
the dog
Come
groomers.
on,
What?
you guys are. I know you're shitty dog groomers that charge
They're
$5,
dumb as hell.
but you dumb as hell. How is that a dog?
It's bright blue.
Right? It has horns.
yes.
I mean, he was kind of hunched over. He's walking on 2 feet.
But it barked. He barked. Dogs bark.
Well, then clearly it's a dog.
Why
Never
did he?
mind.
Why didn't he speak?
Now we call this a classic logical fallacy. Not everything
Right.
that barks is a dog.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
But, but it checks some of the marks. It's furry. And as we find out later, some of the dogs can be pink. So why not a blue dog?
Right.
True.
And were they inspired?
Maybe.
Right? By the blue dog.
So they put Max in a cage. And then it's like simultaneously you have that happening in the back room. And then in front room, Tippy shows up. They conspire that they're going to steal Tippy because they have it. And put the dog in the dog show, win their money, start their gator farm. Max overhears this, but he's still locked in a cage. And then like they get out and leave. Like he gets out.
Yeah.
Oh, Melanie pretends that she's picking him up as her dog.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Which this sassy little 12-year-old
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
up to
She
the,
puts
and
on.
she even did like
Yeah,
puts
put
her
her hand
hand up. Yeah.
Yeah.
and like my dog. I'm here to pick up my dog, and then put it on my tab. And this dude's just like, okay,
Oh, okay.
like you've never seen her before.
What a difference
although-
in price. $5 to
Yeah, $5.
Yeah. Although, like, as I was thinking about that, like, what a weird fucking bad writing. Like, he didn't recognize them, but then like the script saw fit to like fill in that plot hole for us because he
Yeah.
then goes, "Huh, I guess Carl did that job."
Yeah.
Explaining why he was
Yeah.
unfamiliar with it.
Nice.
So yeah, thanks movie for doing
Nice
the
and
one.
tight.
Like,
That's some good writing.
but there's so many
Yeah.
other problems.
Thank you for explaining that to me.
Like how they go home to rally to decide to go immediately back to where they
Yes.
just were.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll have to just go back there.
But now in a
obviously.
giant sombrero and poncho. That's
Yeah, that's
ridiculous.
right. To
Because
hide
he's a
him.
monster. So actually,
We have
that's
to
the
get
point.
you a disguise.
That's the point when
Oh.
Allison brought up it being a cartoon. She's like, it would work in a
Right.
cartoon.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It
True.
would work in a cartoon.
Well, and the cartoon logic helps too with these guys not thinking that he was a dog, even though he looks like a monster, and her thinking like not being so surprised. The wasp not being that surprised that there is a monster. Like,
Yeah,
Right.
I was trying to
guess.
think like in the logic of this movie, are there monsters? Is this not a big
But
deal?
there can't be monsters because everybody thinks Snyder's fucking crazy for believing
Right.
in
yeah,
monsters.
Right.
So even when that doesn't make any sense.
Anyway.
I don't know.
I love that for the last like 40 minutes, my notes just say, "Let's talk about the movie."
Yeah, that's what we've been.
I got notes.
Yeah.
Max breaks back into the groomer.
Yeah, they break back
Right.
into the groomer, and this is when we. But the groomers have already left. They're gone. They
Yeah, they're
go in.
gone.
Yeah, there's nobody there.
He
they
reveals he
find
has
that
2 more monster
Putting her in
powers.
under another name. Oh yeah.
He could
Seeing through the
Yeah, he-
tablet or whatever.
Yeah, he could see what was written down.
He kind of does
Before?
he can like mentally do that thing from the Big Lebowski at Jackie Treehorns where he like
I was
Yes,
gonna say I
he's
can
too
do that
big
with a
to see
pencil. I used to
I
do
know,
Yeah.
like that's kind of a superpower not to have to use a pencil.
and he also can see in the dark apparently,
Yes, that too.
which would be pretty fucking helpful. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, some of
Melanie
these
can't
monster
see.
powers would be pretty sweet to have.
that. Well, yeah.
I mean, I want to tear a door off its hinges every
Hell
once
yeah.
in a while.
And then Snyder shows up. Is like, haha, you thought you got rid of me. I was in the alley the whole time waiting for you to come back, apparently. And
I knew you'd get out somehow.
Yeah, and then he has Max lock himself in. And this is when we finally get to see the big bright orange handcuffs.
Yes. I was like, oh, finally.
Which I guess
what were those?
Belong to the groomers. So like, are they grooming?
Yeah, what are they?
Are they grooming bears? Like what?
Or
don't know.
Something
Probably
huge.
I guess
1986. Who knows?
But that might be another reason why he didn't question the monster was a dog. They have big dogs apparently that they put giant orange shackles on.
I know. I don't know
were
what those were
medium
for.
ones. The red ones are the biggest ones.
That's right.
And then then Snyder locks both of them up to go get his camera and come back.
Yeah, I'll be back here in this other person's business.
Even though you have super strength and you broke my desk and ripped my door off the hinges.
Yeah.
It'll be fine unsupervised.
This will be fine. You stay here now.
Don't go anywhere.
I guess I should also be equally pissed that he just makes all archaeologists look like idiots. That really pisses me off, man. Now I think about it.
No, he seemed to be the standout idiot of the
Right,
people at
like,
the
he didn't
museum.
seem
Not
to be
all
like
of
the
them
other
seemed
people in the museum were
everybody
not
was
fans
like
of his
that.
either.
He seemed
Yeah.
to be,
Yeah, he's the crackpot.
He was standalone.
Max breaks his handcuffs after Snyder leaves so we can showcase what the toy is capable of.
Right.
Which would
Because that was an accessory.
would mean something if this was the toy doing it and not a giant.
Right.
And then Rod shows up because he did tell them.
Finally.
He's like, if you're
He's
not.
been waiting outside.
He said
He was waiting out 5 minutes.
He said 5 minutes, and I kept forgetting to see if it really played out in 5 minutes. Because if it played out in 5 minutes, I'm like, well, you know what, movie? Maybe.
I mean, who knows? Maybe 5 minutes is a lot longer than I think it is.
Movie minutes can be however
It
long.
felt like a lifetime.
That's true.
Yeah. And then they go back home again. Rod talks to Stephanie on the phone to make up an excuse and says that Raul says he needs all night to get the dog
He's got to
done.
work all night.
But
And
he'll-
Max making this Scooby and Shaggy sandwich, which how was he even going to put that in his mouth? It was a 2
it's
feet
so
tall
tall.
sandwich.
Because
He's got
as
to
far as
put
we
the
know,
toothpick with the olive on top.
not only has Max not eaten anything,
Yeah, we've never
No.
seen him
Nope.
eat this whole
they
day.
must have they skipped dinner because they went back to the kennel.
Right.
So his parents also didn't see him eat dinner or make sure this kid is eating. And then and this is where we reveal that apparently his monster powers are fueled by child abuse, and his siblings are gonna just starve him to keep
Well,
him a
it's not
monster.
10 p.m. yet, so the commercial reminding his parents that they exist
Yeah,
hasn't come on yet.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Right, they
Right,
completely
yeah.
forgotten.
Where are your
Do you know where your children are?
Oh, fuck, I got
10
kids?
Oh, shit. Oh, yeah. How many of them do we got?
2. No.
Three.
That's
Gary,
Three.
your son.
It's your boy, Gary.
they're just gonna starve him, and then as you can guess, they're gonna go to the dog show and enter him as a dog in the dog show.
Because everybody will just look
Last
at him and
minute,
go, yeah, totally a dog.
It's a Alaskan blue
Blue hound.
hound.
Yeah.
They go,
Shaggy
Sure.
blue hound.
So before, if we
Shaggy
thought-
blue hound.
if we thought it was weird that the dog groomers didn't recognize he's not a dog, here is a dog show
Right?
Yeah,
full
yeah.
of professional dog people.
Yeah.
Where the prize is $20,000 fucking dollars, and nobody looks at this thing and says, you know what, that ain't a dog.
That's not a dog.
No,
not
I
a
don't know
dog.
what that is. I mean, they're going to have to examine it. Like, you would think that, like, it'd have to be papered.
Right.
Like, you'd have to have a registration fee,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure.
There's no way they were able to register
Just
him in a
snug-
dog
well,
show.
maybe they didn't, like,
They just
really
showed up with a
register.
furry
They just
thing and
showed
went,
up
"We're
with a
supposed to
furry
be
thing
here."
on a leash. Yeah, maybe.
Like, there's an audience at a dog show. You didn't have to bring him as a monster to get into the dog show.
yeah, there was
Just
just
show
people
up. That's
a good
milling
point.
about. You
Oh my
could just
god.
be
Yeah, because they didn't. As far as we saw,
Spectators.
we didn't see them register Max in the dog show. They're just walking
And he
around with him
didn't-
on a leash.
Yeah. Yeah, and he didn't do the little...
No, why
Yeah.
did they
The
need
only
him to-
dog we saw do it is Tippy.
Yeah,
and I was
it was
sure-
like Tippy showed up or Coquette Dubois.
Yes.
Coquette Dubois.
When we saw that this was going to be like the third act of this movie, like, and
Yeah.
it's a dog show, I was so sure that he was going to be walked around as a dog.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
never
nope.
saw.
Oh,
that.
like he would have to perform for the judges?
Yes!
No.
That's like I was
Nope.
sure that was going to be it, and then he'd do
And-
a monster power of some kind, and then I don't know.
And if you thought that they needed him so that they could gain access to the behind the scenes area to look for Tippy, no, they don't, because
No,
Rod
she's
goes and
right
does
there.
that without them.
Yeah, that was unnecessary.
Well, she's just like right out there. She's like winning the grand prize.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's already
she's on the
over when they
stage
get
and,
there.
Like, Rod's the one that calls it out. Like that was
That's
completely-
my dog.
They could have fed him at the house.
Yeah.
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 There was no need for him to.
You
Oh,
never
but
need to be
then
a
he couldn't have
monster.
bit the pants
Oh,
leg.
he couldn't have
Oh yeah,
Of
he
Dr.
Dr.
Schneider.
Schneider. Now, if he had been a real dog at a real dog show, they would have quickly grabbed him and euthanized him for biting.
Right.
He did tell him that he bites. He
bites.
did tell him that. But yes, they would have taken him immediately.
And like he was so horrified, like he got bit, but it was just
it
his
was
pants.
just his pants.
Yeah, just his pants
He
got
didn't even
ripped.
get bit. Maybe that's why
No.
he didn't get put down that very day.
I guess.
They put Max down at the end of the movie. The end.
That's why there wasn't a sequel.
Right?
So yeah, so they have this like the whole denouement of the whole thing is Tippy wins, the two dog groomers are up there, they're given the check, Rod calls them out, and then they take off running with the check. Max roars for some reason, which sets all the dogs off. He basically
All the dogs break out of their cages and kennels.
when he yelled, when he like roars, I was thinking that he was doing his best Ludo impression, and I expected a bunch of rocks to just start rolling in.
Yeah. And like, just let him go. Cancel the check.
Right? They can cancel
They
a
gave
check.
the
Relax.
dogs back.
Yeah.
There's no
Cancel the check.
It's like in police chases that always end up with the police killing somebody else by like hitting a bystander, in an intersection. It's like there's
Right.
no reason to chase.
Yeah,
like, at
they
this
did,
point,
they did not get cash.
You don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Like
Right. It wasn't a cash prize.
just wait for these.
He
Just
didn't
tell
make
all the
out with
banks.
the dog.
Yeah, just tell all
Yeah,
the banks
right.
when these idiots show up to cash a check, arrest them.
Don't cash it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can't just show up with a 20 grand check. They have to call and verify the person who wrote the check. Like you,
Yeah,
did
they're
I
not-
really mean to write a
received
20
a
grand check?
$20,000
Okay.
They're not the kid.
Yeah.
They're not the kid from Blank Check.
Yeah.
Yes. He can't just go buying things with Karen Duffy willy-nilly.
Yeah.
They're not getting no money because Max is gonna stop them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's
he's
right.
going after him. He's gonna stop him in the
Hang
by
on to their
dragging
bumper.
the-
Yeah.
He's gonna drag his heels.
Which he doesn't really
And
see.
they still go. There's a dog back there.
Right? And then finally the other guy goes, "That's not a dog. That's a monster." Which then implies that, like Garth was saying, then maybe they do have a concept of monster.
Yeah, so
I
they didn't think he was
guess.
a
I don't know.
Like, okay, let's put ourselves in that position. If you saw something holding onto the back of your truck that looked like that, would your mind just plug in the word monster? Like, you'd probably like, what the
No, I
fuck
don't
is that?
know.
But I'm not going to think monster.
I mean, my mind would plug in somebody in a monster costume.
Yeah,
But
like
if it was a
someone in
really good one,
Maybe. But if it was able to stop the car, I might be concerned.
Yeah.
that's
Right.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be different.
But I don't know
That's
if
true.
I don't know if my mind would use the word monster. It might use a bunch of
don't
other
know.
things. I don't know. But he gets dragged
I
around.
wouldn't steal a dog.
Yeah.
Now, even as a kid, watching this would make me cringe because I was just imagining that his feet were getting worn down to bloody nubs. Like, by the time they stop, it's just bloody nubs where his ankles are.
Danny DeVito going down a water slide with no water in it, just
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hot feet.
Right? But no,
The slides
he's okay.
of my childhood.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah,
And
he's
so,
all
like,
right.
I
He's a
don't know-
monster.
Yeah, so then because he's like dragging himself around behind it like he's, what's that cloud kicker, he like directs it into a telephone pole maybe, but I don't see a pole. What did they hit? They hit something.
I thought he just stopped.
I think
him.
he just stopped
I
him.
don't-
I don't
yeah.
think he hit
and then he
anything.
like, I think he just held on until
They
it
gave up.
stopped, and then
Or it broke?
and then he went and
Because-
took their steering wheel and their keys.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he,
that's right.
He
ate
eats
the
their
keys.
keys.
Yeah.
which
Which
he's gonna
means that-
fucking regret later.
Eats your
Yeah,
keys
when
and
he's a-
immediately
when
turns
he's
back
a
into
boy
a boy
again.
with keys in his
And I
belly.
wonder if he wasn't hungry no more because he ate
That's
the
right.
keys and immediately turned back into Max with keys in his guts.
Right? That's all he eats from now on.
So yeah,
all
the
that
cops
keeps
get
the
him.
monster at bay.
They're talking about a monster, but the cops just arrest him. I wonder if the show had gone on if they were going to come back as like recurring secondary villains, like bumbling henchmen trying to catch the monster.
Maybe.
They get
wet
employed by
bandits.
Yeah.
the archaeologist.
Yeah.
That's how I would do it.
Oh, also before I
Yeah.
forget, because there's another connection. When they're not at the dog show because they're wearing suits at the dog show, but when they're grooming, the really dumb groomer is dressed like fucking Baldwin from Beetlejuice. But this is like before Beetlejuice happened. But he's wearing the exact
Oh,
same
with the
outfit, and then you have the girl
checkered
Oh wow.
shirt.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
in the cartoon. In fact, a
Yeah, he
bunch
had
of
the plaid shirt and the brown
I didn't even
slacks.
notice.
Yeah.
In fact, a bunch of the people who were in this movie also went on. They all worked for Nelvana, so they were in all their cartoons. So they also were a bunch of the voices in that Beetlejuice cartoon.
That's cool.
But then, so then everything's wrapping up. Tippy's reunited with Stephanie. Rod gets a kiss. They get their money, so the richest dog gets richer. Hooray!
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
The rich get richer.
Yeah. Just for like the skill of being a fucking dog. And then then we get
dog, though.
And then Max turns back into a boy, and it ends with them walking down in this park, and Melanie is like, "Yeah, I'm gonna you're my pet monster. I'm totally just
right."
Gonna use
He's
you."
like, "I'm hungry.
Feed me.
I'm feeling
I've
lightheaded.
only had keys in 48 hours.
Right?
Yeah.
These keys are giving me an infection.
Right?
right? They're abrading the inside of my intestines.
Right?
Ulcers. And then, but that's not the end, because then we get to check in with Snyder one more time. He does a Shakespearean soliloquy to one of the statues, which he calls Beaster, or Beastor is its name.
Beastor.
Yeah. And he's like, why not me? Why am I not special? I cared for you. I cleaned you out of the mud. And then his stomach growls, and then the lights happen.
Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, it's implied that he's going to be the new another monster.
He's going to turn into Beastor and go rip these children's heads
Right?
off. Rah!
But as we've already spoiled, that didn't happen. But there was more to come out of My Pet Monster. But before we talk about that, and also just our kind of overall thoughts on the movie as a whole, it's time for us to dig for some bones. We're going to take a little break.
All right.
Okay, digging for bones. Let's dig for bones.
Dig for bones.
Did you grow up with a lack of parental supervision?
Do you know all the lyrics to The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Remember Mayor McCheese and the Fry Guys?
Have an inexplicable love for the California Raisins?
Can you remember Madonna's original face?
Then you might be a part of the Doom generation.
Laugh until you cry with us each week as we stumble blindly through the memories of the movies
And other random things
that doomed us to be the salty, sarcastic, sardonic ladies you want to hang with.
You know us, you love us, you can't fucking live without us.
Doom Generation, available everywhere you find podcasts.
Do you like beer?
Of course you do.
Do you like good food?
You better believe it.
Then we have the show for you.
It's the Hoppy Trails Podcast.
I'm Nick.
I'm Travis. And on each episode of Hoppy Trails, we invite you to come along on our journey to explore craft beverages and the foods that accompany them.
Check out Hoppy Trails on hoppytrailspod.com or listen wherever you find your podcasts. Connect with us on Instagram at hoppytrailspod or reach out to hoppytrailspod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
Come travel the Hoppy Trails with us, and remember to always say yes to the hoppy ending.
Cheers!
Well, welcome back. Those were some bones, weren't they? Holy shit. Yeah.
So you say
Look at them bones. Dem bones, dem bones, dem. What?
Those were some
the rest
bones,
of
by
that?
golly.
Janky bones.
So real talk. My Pet Monster. What'd you think?
Oh my God. Woo. So we had to issue an apology to.
Yeah, we issued an apology to Movie Dumpster because we did Garbage Pail Kids on there and said it was the worst movie ever. And I was like, all right, it has a contender.
Really? I thought
And then
that,
he goes,
I was going to defend it by saying, hey, it's not as bad as Garbage Pail Kids, right?
Oh,
I don't know, man.
There's no singing
That's
and
true.
musical
That's
numbers.
true.
That's true. Well, I
See,
was like,
well,
not
that was-
even a
that's
musical number.
a
I would have loved a
musical
musical
would've-
number.
Yeah, it was maybe lacking a musical number.
Give me a little My Pet Monster dance.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
at the dog show.
Right?
well, there is a somewhat annoyingly catchy theme song for the cartoon series that came after that you can look up, but I think is based on another. It sounds familiar. This is like a nursery rhyme song or something like that. But
When the theme for this was Monster Mash.
yeah, Monster Mash.
Yeah.
That was. Which maybe in 1986 wasn't
like-
as overplayed as it is now, but I'm sure it was.
I don't know.
And I could be wrong, but I feel like they cut out the word graveyard.
They
It
did.
was
They just
a
the only
Monster
lyrics they
Mash.
kept was Monster Mash. That
It's a
was all that was
smash
kept.
or something. It was
Yeah.
just the Monster Mash. Okay.
It's Monster Mash, but it's only Mash.
Yeah, they did the Monster Mash.
So yeah, obviously they did not carry on with the show, and
Can't
part
imagine
of
why.
I wonder like so. Instead, what they did was they made a cartoon that came out the very next year. They kept many of the same actors, but they put them in different roles.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, so and they changed the whole lore. So Max, still the same kid playing Max, but Max no longer is the monster. Max has a stuffed animal that has magic handcuffs that when you take the handcuffs off, it turns into the monster.
That's
See,
the lore I
that
remember.
Makes sense.
And I
That's-
remember that. I think I must have
Yeah.
seen the cartoon.
that makes much more sense.
Mm-hmm.
He has a best friend named Chucky who also knows about this secret, and so does his older sister Jill, played by the same person that played Melanie, but now it's just her name's Jill, and there is no Rod. They got rid of Rod because he was a tool, and we don't need
Well,
him.
out of here. We
Right.
don't need Rod or his snappy Jeep.
Yeah. Jeep was shitty. You couldn't even start it.
Topless Jeep. I'm surprised he had doors.
No, he didn't have doors.
Oh, it didn't?
No.
I thought he had doors.
Yeah, which
That's
made it
even
even
better.
weirder
See,
that,
plays out.
that when Melanie gets out, she still like climbs over Rod. It's like it's a Jeep
That's
without
weird.
doors. Just like turn
just
right
get
and you're
out.
out.
Go out anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just roll out.
You could have fallen out on the way here.
They kept well, the voice of Mr. Snyder then became Mr. Hinkle, who's Max's neighbor, but he's like
Okay.
it's more like the situation like Bewitched neighbor, where like I think there's a monster over there, you know, not like directly antagonistic. And then they still kept Tippy, although Tippy is now Princess, but still a poodle and is Mr. Hinkle's dog.
Of course.
And then they finally introduced Beaster, who is a monster who is trying to catch the pet monster, who is also the pet monster is just known as the name Monster.
Well, yeah.
Easy.
Well, there you go.
And he comes from Monster Land, which Beaster's trying to take him back to Monster Land, but I don't think it's the same monster. It's like, isn't that where? No, that's Grouch Land. If you go through a garbage can, you go to Grouch Land, right? Not Monster Land. Monster Land's under the bed. The Monster Land's under
Yeah, that's Little
Yeah.
Monsters.
Yeah.
Right? Was it Monsterland? I can't
think
remember what they
so.
called it. We got to do Little Monsters eventually.
Yeah, that's
Boy,
on
it was
the
fucking
list
ooh
somewhere.
terrifying.
Oh, boy, it's so scary.
The pet monster has a very annoying voice. Sounds kind of like what was it, Allison? Would you say it sounded like? Oh,
That's not an annoying
He
voice,
sounds like
though.
Animal from Muppet Babies, but a little more high pitched.
Oh, from
Okay.
Muppet Babies. Yeah.
He eats garbage. He really likes to eat garbage, which
Of course.
monsters.
monster, yeah.
Well, like real monsters, they live in a
course.
dump and eat garbage.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
right.
that's what monsters do.
It's what they
Yep.
do.
So it had 13 episodes that they produced of that, and it aired on ABC, and it pushed the toy, and so the toys took off, and all the merchandising took
Yeah.
off. Another reason that I thought that they might have changed the lore for the cartoon show is that, like, in the movie, if he turns into a monster when he gets hungry, kids might start starving themselves thinking it'll turn
Right,
them into
yeah.
monsters.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Right?
with Peter Pan. They originally you just think magic thoughts and you'll be able to fly.
Yeah,
and
you
kids were
can
hurting
fly.
themselves, so they had to
I've
redo
actually
it and add fairy dust.
I've had I've met a kid who gave himself a black eye, not my own child, a stranger's child, who gave himself a black eye because they took him to see like the play Peter Pan. And he came home and was doing like he put the couch cushions on the floor and was jumping off, but there was a sippy cup. And like the way he landed with the sippy cup like right around his eye and just like a bad black eye.
For me, it wasn't Peter Pan, but I was really young and I'd seen there was like a movie called The Boy Who Could Fly.
Yep. I remember
Yeah,
that.
so I saw that when I was a kid.
So much
and
injury resulted from this
So-
movie, and the boy
here's
could
the thing.
fly.
So,
Right.
so my younger brother had just been born, so like there was a crib on one side of my room, and then my bed was on the opposite side. I climbed up on his crib and jumped off the crib. And to my credit, I made it all the way across the room before hitting the opposite wall and then sliding down cartoon-like and give myself a bloody nose. And then according to my mom, though, and I remember this all happening, but she said that afterwards I told her, after I was done crying and had the bloody nose, like, no, I know what I did wrong. I need to get higher. And she was
Oh
like,
my gosh. That's not.
I need to flap my arms. That's the whole
Right? That's
problem.
what I wasn't doing. Or you could try to do it with an umbrella like I did.
Oh, is that what you did?
Mary
with
Poppins.
With an umbrella.
you pulled a Hank Venture. Nice.
Yeah.
Sorry,
fight.
there's a cat fight going
Mary
on. I've got to go break it
Poppins.
up.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Break it up.
every time.
Uh-oh.
We have some strays
listen to
outside
me.
that we
Sorry.
feed. We have some strays we feed outside, and the other night, a couple weeks ago, my kid is like, I think the cats are fighting. Can you go break it up? It's loud outside my bedroom window. And I run out there. It's raining and shit. I run out there. They're fucking. I was like, that's not cat fight sound. That's cat fuck sound. So I was like, I'm not touching that.
Yeah.
It's raining already.
It's
what are you
barbed.
doing?
Yeah, you don't want to get near.
What you tell your kid is like, that's what the cat food and the glue is for, right? The Charlie method from Always Sunny.
That's right.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I eat the cat food to make myself fall asleep so that I don't hear the cats. That's
Yeah.
right.
Right?
They kept making the toys and all that stuff, for a few more years. It was pretty successful. Those characters from Cleveland, the company that made it, eventually changed its name to Cloud Co., and it's still around to this day. They have exclusive licensing rights for all the Nickelodeon characters.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay.
But they no longer own My Pet Monster, which they sold to Hasbro recently. Although at one point, like, they tried to bring it back in the early 2000s. They reintroduced a My Pet Monster.
Oh, wow.
For like
I
a
don't
year.
remember that.
And but nothing's really been done with it since. Although now it's like making a comeback. So I think there's like one of those little Fun Pop or Funko dolls.
Oh,
There's a-
maybe.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I think I've seen that.
And then
I
there
know I
was
have heard other people talking about My Pet Monster, not the movie necessarily, but
Yeah.
Just
I've seen posts
the
and stuff
doll
about
itself.
Yeah, there was, I guess, a few years back, there was some designer that designed a special pair of like Adidas basketball shoes,
Oh.
and he modeled it after My Pet Monster. And so,
That's
like
cool.
the ad, like the shoes had the color scheme of the blue and the orange, but then it had like a pair of orange shackles that would shackle to the ankles, and so there was a huge outcry of people like, yeah, what are you like?
Because of...
Yeah.
Well,
It's like, no, it was just a really shitty movie and then a crazy like
right.
bunch of toys. In the
It was
80s.
this toy from the 80s.
It wasn't popular enough for people to get it right off the
immediately.
bat. Everybody
if they
go,
would have
wait a
put
minute.
big purple eyebrows on it that wiggled,
on the shoes.
people would have gotten it.
Each shoe.
Right?
and
They're
the
like,
tongue has
oh,
it.
oh, it's My Pet Monster. You got a pickle
Right.
nose on there. I got it.
yeah, pickle nose.
I got it.
Big bug eye on each tongue with the eyebrow, like on the tongue of your shoe.
Like they're like not even functional as shoes anymore.
No, it's just a monster.
Well, I
No,
got
they're
pinball
monsters.
flippers for the eyebrows. Yeah, you can't even put them on your feet. All the mechanics in the shoe.
Right.
This is a display shoe
You
only.
can't even move in them.
So in the movie, it was a Mesopotamian monster statue that turns Max into the monster, right? So that got me thinking, though. We know of another pop culture touchstone that involves a Mesopotamian statue possessing a child with a spirit. The Exorcist, right?
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, well, let's briefly talk about, were there really Mesopotamian monster statues that wouldn't turn you into a monster, but was that an actual thing? And it turns out, yes, that is a real thing.
Oh.
Okay.
And so, in true least haunted fashion, we have to touch on a little bit of anthropology and history. And so I think in our last episode, we talked about Dreamtime. So this time, we're going to talk about a few Babylonian monsters.
So we're pivoting from seeing a really terrible 80s kids basically long commercial to buy these toys to talking about Babylon.
Right.
This is an episode about
Well,
Babylonian
they brought it
monsters
up.
now.
They
Yeah.
made the choice, not me.
started
They
it.
drew
Yes.
first blood.
They brought it up. They did this.
So when talking about Mesopotamia, as we all remember from our middle school history class, I'm sure. Although I don't know if kids learn about this anymore.
Mesopotamia?
Mesopotamia.
Sargon, Hammurabi, Yashirbanipal, and Gilgamesh.
Yes.
Oh.
I think I
Wow. That
was
misspoke. I
impressive.
misspoke the third one.
I wouldn't have known.
Wouldn't have known.
That was
Ashurbanipal.
Ashurbanipal.
That sounds
Ashurbanipal is noteworthy because he started
familiar.
like the first library and I think
Oh.
museum.
I only knew that because of the song "The Mesopotamians" by They Might Be Giants. I don't actually know anything about Mesopotamia.
I should have known.
So yeah, it's Mesopotamia, also known as the Fertile Crescent. It's in what we call the Middle East today, most notably Iraq, parts of Iran. But at the time, it was a bunch of these city-states that, like Babylon, Sumer.
Nestled between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers.
Yep. Between
the
Tigris
Fertile
and
Crescent of Mesopotamia.
It's all coming back to me now.
Yeah, they do learn all that because I homeschooled my kids and I had to teach them about the Fertile Crescent and all that stuff.
Fertile. It was so fertile.
Yeah. Not so much anymore.
Fertile croissant.
The fertile croissant.
My favorite breakfast.
I love that.
So this is what we call
it's a really wet croissant.
Well, now you've ruined it.
Soggy croissant.
I don't want it anymore. I didn't come here to play soggy biscuit.
Just a game you just made up.
Soggy biscuit.
What's soggy?
Soggy biscuit?
No. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Never mind.
Well, do not make me explain what that is.
All right,
I got it.
Mesopotamia.
What was going on in Mesopotamia, Cody?
It's considered the cradle of civilization, depending on how you define civilization. But it's like our first big, major, complex society. Notably, they invented the first writing system. So it happens to be the first human culture where we have actual historical documentation. It's kind of like that's where prehistory ends for that part of the world, because now they're keeping documents, and so we can read actual shit. Although most of the early stuff they're writing are just receipts.
Lots of numbers.
This
receipts, guy owes this guy.
I think I've seen some of those.
Yeah,
like in photos of stuff in a museum that the first writing they found was like just somebody writing a note about a bill owed or something, and then like tabulating.
Invoice.
Yeah,
it is called cuneiform, which means it's wedge shaped. I think cunea, that's what it means. It's like it was a little reed, just a grass reed that they would stick into a clay tablet and they would write. And so one of the things that they recorded was their mythology and the very first ghost and monster stories that we have written in human history.
Nice.
Also the first joke ever written down, which is both a fart and a wife joke. And the joke is that...
No, we need a drum roll here. The first joke, or the oldest joke ever that has ever survived to the present day, now performed by Cody Franks.
Never has a wife sat on her husband's lap and not farted. That's it.
Okay.
That's the joke. That's the joke.
I feel like I've gone without farting on my husband's
from now on,
lap.
though,
I'm going to do it.
I'm going to do it, and I'm going to tell him, you know what?
It's the oldest joke in the world.
The ancestors said, this is what I am to do.
I've heard other versions of it. Never since time immemorial, it has never not been funny when a wife has farted in her husband's lap. That's another form of it. Because it's not like a direct translation thing.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is this is like a dead language.
Well, either way, I'm farting in my husband's lap.
Yeah,
it's happening now.
It is a funny thing to do, and that's the joke. Is just pointing out that's really funny.
Yeah, but that's also where we get, like I said, the monster stories. The word monster, though, is a Latin origin. It comes from moneo, which means to remind, warn, or foretell, which speaks to the role of monsters in mythology and stories, which is monsters are a warning. There's something that's dangerous, and usually they're stand-ins for other things that the culture is trying to it's a coded message. We did an episode about the Yeti where we talked about how the ultimate origin of the Yeti is that people living in the Himalayas used it to personify certain dangers that came with living in a high-altitude snowy environment. So monsters kind of play that role generally in our culture. They're a way of educating us about things that we should be aware of, whether real or imagined.
Kids don't play around by the lake. There's a monster in it.
Yeah, deep water. Stay away from it. Yeah. A monster.
Kids, it's cautionary tales.
Where we got God, but
well, God's a real monster. Let's just be honest.
Right. So that's
The real monster was the friends we made along the way.
So you guys are my pet monsters.
She said it.
Hey, she said it. Ding,
the
ding,
titular line. But in Mesopotamia, they weren't calling them monsters. That's a Latin term. But they had a whole bunch of beings that were what we would call monsters beings now, although it was just they're spirits and demons. There's one that's really fucking buck wild. He's a winged bull with the head of a man.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He shows up on like
Yikes.
temple doors, and he kind of looks like a sphinx. He's got like a conical
Does he have
hat.
arms?
No.
Bulls are
It's like a
huge.
bull.
Just 4 legs?
Just 4 legs,
How
wings,
big?
and a
How
man face.
how big
With a-
would the wings have to be to make the bull body fly?
Buffalo
That's got to
wings,
be.
And he breathes fire. He breathes fire. So like buffalo wings.
Obviously.
Does he have a neck, or is it just
Is it like a
head
long
stuck to a
neck?
bull?
Is it a man-sized head and a bull-sized
I
body?
think it's a
Is it a
man's
man neck
head
or a bull
that's
neck?
the size appropriate for a bull's body.
So a man's head that's like
okay.
a foot
Oh, like that
and
makes
a
it
half
okay.
wide.
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
like a garbage pail kid head?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
well,
as big as the
we
freaking
got to
thing.
put a disguise on him.
And because he's Babylonian, he's got this like fucking massive beard.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
you got to have that.
They didn't have razors.
They couldn't shave
Come on now.
with a rock.
Ezra's
Chewing
gonna
it
find out
off.
that there's some other like really crazy shaped monsters that they had. I'm gonna address just a few of them though. We got Tiamat, who's the primordial water mother monster. She was the goddess and embodiment of the waters of the ocean, and she was married to Absu, who was the god of freshwater rivers and lakes. But they like were married, but like they fought, and then
Sure.
yeah, and then there's like this convoluted story. So she births like all the Mesopotamian gods, their whole pantheon. But then she also mothers a bunch of monsters, and she does this as part of it's a weird like soap opera plot involving murder or attempted murder and revenge and vengeance.
So the monsters are all our half siblings
As-
because we share a mother but not a father.
Right.
I guess.
It's like as gods often do. There's
Right.
always some dramatic
Yeah.
story.
Yep.
Like there's always intrigue
Yeah.
and
Backstabbing.
monsters and backstabbing and
Yeah, and then long story
That's the-
short, her like grandkids kill her and then use her to like make the earth. Like she becomes all this stuff.
Sure, why not?
yeah.
And then there's this character Humbaba,
Humbaba.
and he might actually be like the oldest monster. That's like a monster story, and it comes from the Epic of Gilgamesh. I'm not going to talk too much about him because a friend of the show, Dr. Tim King, has this really interesting theory about Humbaba that he's told me that I want to have him on our show to discuss. But I'm going to give you like a condensed soup version of this Gilgamesh story. So you got Gilgamesh. He's the king of Uruk. He has this friend who's like his Samwise Gamgee, this wild man named Enkidu.
Okay.
And they go into the sacred cedar forest. They have all kinds of adventures, but one of them is they go into the sacred cedar forest where they find Humbaba the Terrible. In the first versions of this, there's no description of him, but then like later they like because they would retell the story. Like depending on where you go, there's different versions written down, so they would add details. And eventually said that his face, he's like this giant man with like bull horns and scaly skin, and his head or his face is made out of a single coiling line like unto the entrails of an animal. So he's got like intestines for a face.
That's metal. That's so cool.
Like that
That sounds like a Hellraiser Cenobite or something.
Right.
I feel like
yeah.
that was like a Polish movie poster that they made for Alien.
Oh
That
yeah,
look like that.
That looked like that. It was weird. That had like guts for heads.
I don't want to see it.
No. You wouldn't want to.
They find little like amulets and art depictions of Humbaba that is like a face that just has a bunch of like lines all over it. But then Gilgamesh and Enkidu, they fight and fight the Humbaba and they kill him. Gilgamesh and Enkidu victorious.
They were victorious.
There's your Darmok and Jalad reference
That's
for the
it.
episode.
That's it.
All those of you at home who are playing along, check your notes.
X that off.
Check that off the quota list. And then that's going to bring us to the main event, which is Pazuzu. The whole thing that like connects The Exorcist to My Pet Monster is Pazuzu. So in the movie The Exorcist, there's at the very beginning a statue of a demon, right? And
There's archaeologists who dig it up, right?
Yes, and they dig it up. And it's Pazuzu, and that supposedly is the demonic spirit that possesses Reagan. And then that's the connection that we have to this movie. There's
Right.
Yeah, okay. So Pazuzu is the son of Hanpa, and Hanpa is the Mesopotamian god and embodiment of all things evil. So he's kind of like Damien. He is the prince of darkness. He's the prince of demons, and he's also the embodiment of the western winds. He's often depicted as having the body of a man, but he's got claws like an animal. He's got like the feet of, I think, a lion or some kind of weird bird. It's hard to tell sometimes. He has 2 sets of wings for a total of 4 wings, which was a common thing in Mesopotamian mythology. They depict their gods as having multiple sets of wings.
I've always wondered how that flaps. Like, how does that work?
Right?
Like, aerodynamically.
Biblical depictions of the angels are based on Mesopotamian traditions.
But
of
is it
angels.
like, because you see flying bugs that stick there? What's the bug I'm thinking of?
Well, like a dragonfly.
Yeah, dragonflies have sets. Yeah, some
Terra.
they land with their wings back. Some they land out, but they can have multiple sets.
Yeah,
but they don't look like bird wings.
No, so these are bird wings. But I was gonna say, like, the idea of angels in the Bible, like the artistic representations and things that are talked about in like the Old Testament, are very much influenced by Mesopotamia. And some of these early biblical depictions of angels also talk about them having 6 pairs of wings.
Yeah, they have several pairs of wings.
How does it fly?
Their bodies are made out of spinning wheels full of eyes
Yeah.
and fire.
Anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, Pazuzu's got a snake for a penis. There.
Oh.
Yeah. How's that do you?
Obviously.
Yeah.
What are his balls made of, Cody?
They never said.
They never
didn't
said mad balls.
specify
Yeah, mad balls.
One has an eyeball and one's like
Yeah. And they rock.
They rock.
We're doing Exorcist this year as our Christmas episode.
That's
nice.
perfect
because
for
it's
Christmas.
the 50th.
I know,
The
yeah.
50th anniversary is the Christmas.
Nice.
That it
Yeah,
came out at
it's
Christmas
cool.
50
Nice.
years ago. So let's see how much of this Pazuzu lore we remember. When we
Yeah.
get there.
Right?
You can always reach
We'll
back
have to
out
look into
and I'll
it.
let you know.
There you go.
He's also got the tail of a scorpion.
Whew.
And he's got horns. He's got goat-like horns and the face of a dog. He's got like a dog's mouth. And then like a weird kind of
Yeah.
like Gene Simmons kiss tongue that sticks out.
I'm just imagining him
Yes.
trying to keep his balance all the time with a snake sticking out front and then the tail
know,
and then all
that-
these wings. Like, he'd be so top heavy on these little,
Right? He's
these little
unwieldy.
chicken legs.
But here's the thing about Pazuzu.
Uh-huh.
Yes, he's the Prince of Darkness. And yes, he's the son of like all things evil. And he's like the Prince of Demons and has a viper for an erect penis.
Yeah, wow.
Is he good or is he evil? Is the question.
I mean, you said he was the prince
I
of
would
all
assume
demons.
evil, but
Okay, well here's the thing that The Exorcist got wrong is that like although he is like the Prince of Demons, he's actually mostly on humanity's side.
Oh.
Or he could be like beseeched and bribed by people to like protect them.
Okay.
And they do this in the form of amulets that depicted Pazuzu. There's a lot of amulets in Mesopotamian magic systems and their religion, and these are these things that are they're called. Real quick, let me phone a friend. What's the eye thing called? I forgot it. Apoptic. Anyway, it means eye. It's a whole class of amulets. Like when you hear people talk about the evil eye.
Oh, yeah. You see it over doorways and stuff.
Yeah, the evil eye is to
Right.
ward off evil spirits, right? It's the same kind of idea. So you would put Pazuzu
Okay.
up to scare away other demons.
Oh.
And one demon in particular. And that is this demon called Lamashtu. Now, Lamashtu is one of like the worst demons in all of Mesopotamian monsterdom. And it is a female body with a lion's head. And from her large breast, she is suckling a dog and a wolf, or sometimes jackals.
Wow.
do.
She is holding 2 snakes in her hands. She has crazy
Whoa.
bird feet, and she's usually depicted perched on the back of a donkey riding in a boat.
She's got a lot going on.
so what you're saying is she's the mother of multitasking.
Yes.
Yeah, really?
She's
Yes.
Totally.
She's also the personification of miscarriages and infant death.
Oh, well, that's not
And
so
so what she does is at night she walks down the street sniffing at windows and doorways looking for pregnant women or newborn
Oh,
babies.
that's
Which-
scary.
And then she sucks out the life from the fetus or from the child.
Wow.
Unless she meets the face of Pazuzu, who she is terrified of or will run away from. And there's no one knows exactly why. What is the connection between the two?
Yeah,
Why
I
do
don't
they-
know.
I mean, he has a snake for a... No,
She's like, get it away from me.
Right?
Yeah, I've got enough
But she's
going
got-
on.
But she's got snakes in her
That's
hands.
what she's saying. She's
I'll
got
rip your
enough.
dick off.
Yeah.
Well, according to Professor Irving Finkel, he's at the British Museum, and I suggest anybody go to on YouTube and look him up. He's a delightful old man with this giant white beard, and he is like he's one of the few people in the world who can read cuneiform like fluently. And he just has a very great way of he's just very interesting and engaging. But according to him, his theory is, and he says that there might have been that Pazuzu and Lamashtu were married once. And so this is a nasty divorce.
She's trying to get away from that snake.
Right?
It's a nasty
like,
divorce. Yeah, the two of them
Not
just
you again.
can't stand each
There's
other.
some good character motivation in that.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
That makes sense.
He used to have 5 snake dicks, but she ripped the rest
That's
off.
right.
She carries them
That's
around.
why she's got them in her hand.
That explains the snakes. Okay.
This is what I got in the divorce.
But yeah, so archaeologists find a lot of Pazuzu amulets and statues. The one that is in The Exorcist is based on an actual real statue, although it's not that big. It's only 15 centimeters tall. Whereas the one in the movie, I think, is like 3 feet tall. It's like a big, like an idol.
It's like, yeah.
So
Out in the desert.
with all of that in mind, My Pet Monster and Pazuzu, I took it upon myself to make, as our listeners have seen the episode image, this is My Pet Pazuzu.
Yes, it's perfect.
Here,
Since you don't do
show him
social
the back.
media,
There's the
I'll
scorpion
post it.
tail.
Scorpion tail.
Right.
I didn't do a full-on snake dick, but there is an obvious penis. He used to have a little black
Nice.
sensor bar, but it fell off.
Oh,
I'll post it for you since you guys don't do social media. I'll put it on.
I'll put
Thank
on.
you.
I can put it on
Send me a
Discord
good
in our
picture.
there you go.
what's that thing we do? Tumblr. Yeah,
Tumblr, yeah. We'll send you a picture though.
There you go.
Yeah, post it anywhere you like.
Oh, and do you guys want to send us photos of you to be in My Pet Monster the movie?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Photo
Oh,
edits?
Yeah.
we'll do a photo shoot tomorrow or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
That would be great. Thank you.
Well, that's all I got about Mesopotamian monsters and My Pet Monster. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Final-
I got
final
through all
thoughts,
my notes,
everyone.
for sure. He said final thoughts.
I just
said- I was
You
just
said
suggesting-
well. I'm like,
Well,
I don't know if I have any
Yeah.
really like.
wouldn't recommend
Again,
the movie.
I think because I don't have any, I think why this is worse than Garbage Pail Kids for me is because I do at least have some nostalgia for the Garbage
Right.
Pail Kids movie, where I collect and still have Garbage Pail Kid cards. And that was a big deal for me as a kid. And so I remember that anticipation of it coming out and in being disappointed. But, and then I think I thought Mackenzie Aston was cute.
Yeah.
Because I was like his same age.
Yeah.
Where with this, because I never had a My Pet Monster and I never
No.
saw this as a kid, it's just,
I
this
had
is a shitty
Care
movie.
Bears and strawberry shortcakes and
Yeah.
like all the
the other
He-Mans
American
and all
greetings.
that other
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a My Pet Monster. I think my brother might have had one.
Yeah, and I'm
well,
an
yeah.
only
Well,
child,
it was
so-
targeted at boys. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's almost 4 years younger than me, and I was born in '81. So,
I
mean,
I
he
have a
might had
memory
one.
of I think having a My Pet Monster either stuffed animal or backpack possibly, or I think the stuffed animals had zippers where you could stuff things in them.
That was a big thing in the
But I
late
didn't
80s.
I
There were
didn't
animals
realize
with zippers.
I'd never
yes.
heard of
Yeah.
My Pet
Yeah,
Monster.
lots of things had pockets.
Yeah, I never heard of My Pet Monster or anything like that. I didn't know what it was. It was just like appeared in my room, and but I don't know what happened to
It
it.
was just a thing.
It's
you
a very
had.
vague
It's
memory.
just a thing you had.
Yeah.
I had a My Pet Monster puppet. There was a hand puppet. They introduced more characters going forward, and there's 3 different little. They almost look like. They kind of are like popple-ish. They're about the size of a popple, but they're little hand puppets. I had one of those. My cousin had the football monster.
I remember the football that had a
Yeah.
helmet. Yeah.
I remember that.
And then, as I showed you before we started recording, I have the bow biters on my shoelace.
Bow
Yes.
biters. Hell yeah. I'm going to order myself some fucking bow biters.
Yeah, now I want bow biters.
I hadn't thought about those in years.
Nope.
Right? They need to come
Thanks
back.
for-
You had to explain to me what they were. I was like, what?
Well,
Oh, it bites the bow
Just
that
a
you
thing
make
that
in
bites
your
your
I know
bow.
that-
Yep.
I think that what I want to do with the bow biters is because they're not made anymore.
I always had Velcro when I was a kid, so I missed the bow biter.
Oh.
No, what we should do is you could design some in 3D, and then we could have TJ 3D
Of
print
the
them.
least haunted ghosts.
Yes, and we
Of
can
your
make our own
little
bow
ghosts?
biters.
They have such little mouths.
we don't have
I'll
any
have to
kind
think
of
about how that
mascot.
works.
Oh no, I know how it works. I had a Ghostbuster bow biter that was the Ghostbusters logo. Oh no, it was the Stay Puft Marshmallow
Oh, yeah.
Man. and it like opened up, and the laces just went behind the logo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You could do it.
Yeah, bow biters.
Yeah, we don't have any kind of cute. There's a bunch of people now that have these cute little mascots, and we don't have any kind of.
I know. I
We
don't
don't
know
have
what
any
we would
little
have.
cartoony thing or animal.
You could just do that
or-
cool yin yang logo you guys have that's on the magnet.
True.
Maybe.
With the
Our TNC Surf and Skate logo.
I got the
D&G
stickers.
Doom
They came in the mail,
Generation.
by the
Yeah.
way. Thank you.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
excellent.
We thank you on the one today. Was it Freaky Friday? No.
I was. You read my. You played my message in your 100th episode.
Yes. No.
Yeah.
But then we also thank you for joining, and I think it's in the next one. What's between Freaky Friday? Is it in Weird
Is it
Science?
Weird Science?
Oh God.
Oh yes, I'm on the
Good luck.
shroom one. Hell yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what I said. If I thanked you or not.
Whatever might hit
we
the
didn't
cutting
peek
room
until
floor.
midway through the episode.
Yeah,
so
we'll find out.
the first half of the episode probably sounds really normal, and then we lose our minds.
Right.
Now I've got to. Okay, my next task is I'm going to watch My Pet Monster and Psychedelics.
How many
There you
times
go.
did you watch it for this, dude?
It's only 45 minutes.
Don't do
It's
that
not
to
that
yourself. You
long.
watched this like 5 times in
It's
preparation.
not,
Don't
like
do
a-
it. You masochist.
Well, if our listeners are I guess masochists and they want to listen to more of this,
Oh, I thought you were gonna say go and watch My Pet Monster, but yeah, no. If
no,
you'd like to see more
My
of
Pet
this,
Monster is a gateway to BDSM.
Yeah, wait for
yeah,
us.
that's right.
Yeah, it's not masochism.
Yeah,
I watched it with my
got
brother.
shackles? Come
I
on.
watched it with my brother over Discord because he also hadn't seen it since we were like little kids, right?
Yeah.
And so he kept saying like every time something would happen, like they put a leash on him or they put the cuffs, my brother would just go kink unlocked. Like,
Right.
That's where it came from.
I know. Sometimes you see those
and all those
parallels.
things we said came in cages.
Yeah.
Yep.
With all these animals, or not even
Yep.
animals, just toys in cages. And
Things were in cages
things
and
shackled.
crates.
Yep.
Yep.
when Rod was hitting on Stephanie, he makes a Freudian slip about calling her the dog's mistress. I mean master.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
and then he just kind of looks at her. Yeah. It's all there.
That was
Yep.
a little weird. It's all there.
It's all there.
I mean,
Yeah. Well,
good looking. And I am.
We can make anything gross. So.
I know. We do that.
on that note, I think.
Are you gonna list your the Monster Squadron?
Yeah. Speaking of
patrons?
monsters, we have our monster.
we have
squadron.
we have many monsters on our squadron.
Yes, we have the monster.
Our
squadron.
Patreon producers at the $10 level are as follows.
Hold on.
If I had to list our Patreon subscribers every time,
Cody actually does
I'd be screwed.
actually know all this off the top of his head.
Monster Squadron, drum roll. Travis Alexander, By Barbarian, Rachel Krieger, Tom Dahl, Justin Duckham, Kelly Flynn, Gunnar Franks, Carla Harrington, Lord Havelock, New Jared, Brian Lamb, TJ Levenhagen, who's new, Alicia Overton, Jordan Ramey, and Blue Rose.
Well done.
Okay.
I was following along. You did it. Nice job. Yeah, yes.
Yay!
Yes.
And although there wasn't a Garth's Corner theme song, if you join at the Monster Squadron level, you get your name featured in a Garth's Corner musical.
I'll be doing a Garth Quarter musical number.
No, a song, a theme song.
I'll be doing a Garth Quarter song for the next. It was too much to fit into this. We're already at almost 2 hours here, so yeah, we'll do it for the next one. But yes, you can be mentioned on a Garth Corner theme song.
Yeah, like we said, there's lots of other benefits. You get bonus content. We do occasional. Well, we're always hanging out on the Discord, but we'll also do for our patrons. You get a special hangout with just us, like a private little hangout. I think the last one we did, we played some interactive games. What's that one where you
we played some spooky
Phantasmophobia
games,
or something like that?
and I fell asleep, and then you guys left, and I was just asleep on the Discord.
Oh no!
with the camera on me sleeping. Apparently,
I closed the windows.
There's
I
whole
could do
TikTok
that.
lives on that, dude.
I know.
I'll be scrolling through TikTok late at night, and there's like people
there's
who
just
their
people
whole thing is
alive
there's
and asleep.
This is
they're
me
asleep,
sleeping.
and there's things where like if you pay to give them gifts, it sets off alarms in their room, and like your whole goal is to wake up this sleeping person on TikTok, and you're paying money to send little dings to their. I'm like, how do I get into the nap game?
That
What
would
is
be so
happening?
easy for us
How
to
do I get
do.
in on this?
Monetize naps.
Yeah.
That would be so easy to
could
do.
do that.
I could do that.
Yeah,
I could do that.
You
You
are
just
a notorious
pretend you're
napper.
still sleeping.
I know.
Like, of course
How
I
you-
can
how
pretend
they
I'm
gonna
asleep.
know?
Yeah.
I'm a swindler.
You could have like a betting pool on how long it takes for you to start snoring, and whoever gets closest wins
Right.
like a T-shirt.
Oh yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. Huh. Well, what about you and your Patreon? Tell all of our listeners about how they can support you.
Oh, okay. Patreon.com/Doom Generation. You get bonus audio, which is for the most part what we call spicy B-roll.
Yes.
Which is usually it doesn't have a topic necessarily. It's like we try to keep it stuff that's not movies because that's all we talk about. So it's like memories from childhood and
it's
funny
just us
stories.
hanging out and
yeah,
kind of warming up.
But also we do the Fierce Bitch Happy Hour every once in a while, which is a video thing we do with Full Circle where we just get wasted with this other podcast and talk shit about whatever for hours.
Yeah.
And you get merch like at different, there's a $2 level where it's just audio. $4 you get all the audio and a little bit of merch. And for $10 you get all the audio and a little bit of merch, or and all the merch, and you get a custom shout out in an episode, like where you just write whatever and we read it. And you get to be in our movie edits.
Nice.
Yeah. So for the movie of your choice, we'll put you in the
that's
edit.
really cool.
Yeah.
Wow, we got to step up our game.
Yeah, I know. We
just added that new tier in the last
we
couple
just
months.
recently
We
did
used to
that
just
one.
do the $2, or actually we just had the $4.
Yeah.
And then we were sending everything out, and you got all the things for $4. And then we were like, you know what? We could do. It doesn't cost us anything to like put people promo whatever in the episode. So and so we've got a few of those, but we have a lot of patrons actually now. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Cool, way to go.
It's insane that people want to pay to hear.
I know.
Extra.
Extra.
I'm like, you
things.
get it all for free. You really
right.
I know.
You're gonna pay for
They
more.
want to buy the cow,
right?
I always said if you buy the cow, then you get the milk for free because you own the cow.
Yeah, it's not a it's not a good
cow.
metaphor.
It's not good.
It's
like in
not.
any level.
It's not.
Yeah. Anyway, with all that out of the way, I think that's going to do it for us. Tessa and Nicole, thank you so much for joining us again.
Great having you as
Thanks
always.
for having us.
We love sharing the pod universe, this little pocket corner of the pod universe with you. And then I guess
What's the sign off, Cody?
sign off phrase. Okay, so you always walk them through how to do this. Right?
Oh, okay. So Cody's gonna start by saying the only thing that's haunted here is, or no, and then you say is you.
Right.
You,
Yeah.
You both say it
Okay,
together.
that's
So
right.
he'll
I
he'll
think we
he'll
haven't
he'll
done that
he'll
before.
he'll pitch you. Then you can.
Yeah.
Say,
Okay.
Got it. Okay.
All right. So until next time, remember the only thing that's haunted
Is you.
Yay! All right.
Yay!
That was the most adamant response. It's you, Cody. It's you.
It's you. It's you, Champer Damper.
Enthusiastic.
Hey, goodbye.
These statues possess the power to transform anyone who stands before them into monsters.
The Least Haunted podcast is recorded before a dead studio audience and is a presentation of SEQUOIDEA Productions, LLC.
They're freaky, they're fun, they're the Mad Balls. Wild and weird, these oddball toys have now bounced their way onto the video screen. Follow the bouncing balls on their animated premiere as they rock and roll their way across the galaxy in Mad Balls Escape from Orb. Go crazy, go totally mad. Let the good times roll with Mad Balls Escape from Orb.